I'm
How's
Chad.
everybody doing?
Oh,
Excellent. Good timing. That's what we needed. How's everybody doing? Good?
Yeah.
Great. Bro,
Oh, good.
I feel like I'm severely dehydrated.
Oh, bro, get yourself some water.
Yeah.
Specifically, get yourself some Sierra Nevada Hop Splash. If you've ever wanted to taste...
I need more water.
Sorry, I just...
Jesus Christ. Are we getting paid?
No, I really should be, though. Honestly.
Just Aaron. It's just Aaron.
Yes, just me. I have... Honestly, I've gotten to the point where I love it so much that I have created a subscription, a monthly subscription to get 44 cans of Hop Splash from Sierra Nevada from California, shipped to my house so that I can drink that because it's so freaking delicious and it replaces beer and it's 0 calories, 0 alcohol. It's excellent.
Wow. I saw this thing on the TikToks where you take some Sprite, like a bottle of Sprite, and then you put tea packet in it. And then just kind of like flip it upside down so the tea packet will actually like go up inside and like, you know, start mixing with the Sprite. Leave it for like 10 to 20 minutes. And it's supposedly like the most bomb drink ever. Put some lemon in it and stuff like that too. And it's like, yeah.
I might try that. I'm not big
good.
On the sugar of Sprite, but I'm not really a soda guy.
I wonder how it would be with like Canadian Dry or something like that.
Probably good.
So you're just not drinking beer anymore?
No, I'm just trying to limit it because I feel like I've just been freaking just chugging beers.
Heck yeah.
I'm like looking down. I'm like, guys, I'm like 53 and I really need to cut back.
53.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's getting to me.
All right. Your wife was just asking me if I'd seen y'all's Indy's birthday post. And there's a video of you guys giving her a pup cup, and then you pan over to Sven, and it's the funniest thing ever. He's just so angry.
He's just mad all the time, man. It's funny.
Where is that video?
It's on Facebook, probably all the socials.
You can check it out on Facebook. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Forecast, bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
I'm forgetting what we've been doing.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I'm Chad McCausland.
I'm Jake Fetterkyle.
I'm Owen Patterline. How's it going, pals, friends, and folks with an X?
Ooh, folks with an X. I like that.
Yeah.
Not a thing, no.
It's not a thing? It could be.
Does Sven get anything?
Eventually he gets something. But it was Indy's birthday, not Sven. Sven gets stuff for his birthday. On today's episode number 180, the SAG-AFTRA board unanimously votes to interactive media strike to send it to its members. Wow, I could not speak there for a second. TMNT Mutant Mayhem was so successful it's getting a video game sequel coming out next year, which we'll talk about. And Apple prepares for their next event. Also, Baldur's Gate 3 has dropped out of the top 10 highest rated games list of all time. Starfield makes some weird choices. And of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels, or you can check out our website at wethehorizon.com. We have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, The Discordant Signal. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. All right, let's get into it this week, guys. I'm excited about this list, okay? By the way, is my mic exploding because I feel like I'm really hype right now?
You're fine. You're good.
I don't want to be exploding, you know?
Give us the list, Daddy. Let's go.
Okay. I was looking through lists, and I've been trying to narrow it down to some excellent stuff because I really like when lists are written from the perspective of just being purely subjective and also include like a little bit of nonsense. A lot of times, though, I'll read those lists and I'm like, the level of nonsense is just too high. I need a good balance, a good balance of uniqueness and nonsense. It can't be all nonsense, can't be all uniqueness, you know? So those are hard to find. It's really hard to narrow down. So I was working on it, and I almost settled on Teen Vogue's 171 best Never Have I Ever questions that dig deep.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
But
why did we not do that one?
And we just read every single one.
Yeah, I just thought it might be a little long.
Play it on stream.
Just a little. Well, maybe. We'll think about it. But then I decided, you know what? I want to get into something that's movies related. So the first thing I thought of was, how about unofficial movie trilogies? Because WatchMojo.com has a top 10 unofficial movie trilogies list, which seems like a good list, but literally everyone who's on this podcast knows what the number one unofficial movie trilogy of all time is. Come on. What is it? Anybody?
Jurassic Park.
Trilogy?
Yep. Cornetto trilogy. Abso-freaking-lutely. So the list is kind of like, it's like ruined right off the bat. So instead, I decided to go with the 10 best movie trilogies ranked. This is from Collider. Just top 10 best movie trilogies, official movie trilogies ranked. Here we go. Number 10, we have the Austin Powers trilogy.
They couldn't find 10 other trilogies, huh?
We're already scraping the bottom of the barrel and we just started. That's incredible.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I think Austin Powers is a perfectly appropriate top 10 list for number 10.
Sure. I mean, I suppose. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's like a log scale, right? So
It is a log.
Is the absolute worst movie trilogy of all time.
Yeah.
And it's going to exponentially get better.
Okay, I'm not gonna
The
say
scale
Austin
is
Powers is the worst trilogy of all time.
It's not spectacular. If this is a log scale, this it can't be a log scale because the trilogies are just all over the map in this list, which I think is one of the reasons I wanted to read through it. But I'll agree it should be maybe scraping a little bit of the bottom. Not all the way down there, but close. Number 9, we have the Naked Gun trilogy.
Okay.
The Naked Gun. The Naked Gun 2.5. Smell of Fear.
doing
The
a
Naked
lot
Gun
of, like-
33 1/3. Yeah?
Was that Naked Gun 33 1/3 you just said?
33 1/3, yes. The final insult.
So a lot of like parody stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this list was really into parodies.
I like parodies.
Is Scream gonna? If Scream is number 1, I will scream.
Well, I mean, I think Scream
Scream's
has
the real
4
one.
movies,
Scary movie.
So...
Well,
Scary movie,
but then
yeah.
the first 3 can be a trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can that count? If you have a set of 4 movies, can you be like, oh, the first 3 is a trilogy?
I
Is
think
Lord of
it-
the Rings a trilogy? Because the Hobbit movies exist. That's a prequel.
Yeah, but those are
I don't
specifically
know.
a prequel.
I think it
I don't
counts
know.
if like the movies are a trilogy and then they make an extra thing later. See The Matrix.
See
Oh.
John Wick.
Oh, God, yes.
There
Can
are
we just...
4 John Wick movies.
Well, but then does The Matrix count? Because they made one standalone movie and then decided to make more. Like if intent matters at the time of inception,
True, that's a valid
Did they
point.
not plan the second and third movie?
there's no fucking way. The Matrix is like a perfect movie. Why would they be like, what if we made 2 bad movies after
I've always
that?
been under the impression that it was meant to be a trilogy.
There's no way. I'm Googling it.
But that could be the case. I don't know.
I mean, regardless if it was meant to be a trilogy, pick any of those movies. They're infinitely better than the 4th Matrix.
I would say there's a Matrix trilogy and then there's also the Matrix 4.
I just don't even want to imagine that movie exists. I just want to live in the alternate universe where the Matrix 4 wasn't made. I'd be okay with that.
It'd be a good universe.
Yeah. Number 8, we have Back to the Future.
Wow, that's far down.
8? That's
That is-
low.
That's really low.
Oh, it's really low.
Pretty low.
It's a
Super
really
low.
good trilogy.
I'm very curious to hear what comes next.
Yeah.
Where would you guys put Back to the Future on this list? Like just in general.
3?
Like, okay. Pretty far
3?
up there.
Top
But
3 for sure.
3 on a list of trilogies is basically number 1, if you ask me. That's basically the most coveted spot.
3, 4, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I mean, I would need to really think about my tops, but
Yeah,
it would definitely be in the mix.
Okay. At number 7, we have the Three Colors trilogy, which is a series released between 1993 and 1994 that was produced in 3 separate countries, France, Poland, and Switzerland, and each of those are based off of 3 colors, blue, white, and red, which represent the colors of the French flag.
Just to be clear, this list started with Austin Powers. That was 10, and here we are just a few short numbers later. An artsy film not released in America.
I mean, it could be amazing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
No clue.
Sure, dude. Who knows?
Yep. Sure. Well, I'll take it.
Intriguing.
I feel okay. Listen, you got to give him one. You got to give him one art house film to just interject.
Sure.
Yeah, it cleanses the palate after
does.
Austin Powers.
It does. It does.
It should have been right after Austin Powers, maybe.
Honestly,
though.
yes.
Sure.
Not above Back to the Future.
Definitely not about Back to the Future. Number 6,
Back
we
to the
have
Future.
the Before trilogy, which is I don't remember when these films came out. I want to say it was late 90s. Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight. This is an Ethan
like-
Hawke trilogy.
Spread out over a long period of time, I think.
Oh, I
90
think you're right. I think the first one was in the mid 90s, and then maybe the last one was in like the mid 2000s or something.
95, 2004, 2013.
Wow.
Thoughts?
I didn't
I've
know these
heard they're
existed 10
excellent.
minutes ago.
Yeah.
I've not. It's been on my list for a long time. I've heard it's really good, and
Okay.
they play to like the time gap in between the movies and real life.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Does Ethan
Could be
Hawke just get
interesting.
progressively worse in every consecutive film?
Are you saying that's what he does with his acting career?
Have you watched?
Dang.
What's the last Ethan Hawke movie you watched?
Dang.
Like
Or EH.
Sinister? Wasn't he in Sinister?
That sounds right.
He was.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
You didn't watch The Black Phone?
I didn't actually.
Oh,
Made by the
he is
people who
in
made
that, isn't
Sinister.
he?
Yeah.
The Black
It might be
Phone's
good.
really good, actually.
Okay. There you
I
go.
like that movie a lot.
Number 5, we have The Man with No Name trilogy, which is Clint Eastwood and Sergio Leone's trilogy, which is A Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. For a few dollars more, sorry. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I don't think I knew The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was part of a trilogy.
Yeah, Caleb, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's a trilogy
Yeah.
and a trilogy.
Exactly.
Trilogy.
Triloception. Wow. Great minds, Alex. Great minds. It's really hard to say this is probably not in a top 10. Sergio Leone is his ability to make a Western as an Italian director is pretty incredible. It's very, very good.
They're
at it.
like all-time great movies. I haven't seen most of them, but
Really?
yeah,
Man.
I've seen Good, Bad, and the Ugly. So
Okay, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is excellent, but Fistful of Dollars is also very, very good. You should watch them. They're excellent. All right, at number 4, list is getting spicy, boys. Here we go. Number
right.
4, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's
All
number
right.
4 on the
That's
list, huh?
number 4 on the list.
above Back to the Future
Above Back to the
Above
Future.
Back to the Future.
by multiple places.
By like a lot of places.
Yeah.
Above Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Above
Is it-
Colors.
I think
Is this
is
like
on the list.
Are we looking back, like hindsight 2020? Because I thought everybody hated that trilogy.
right.
I
I think it's a decent number 10, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Do you think his
10?
Spider-Man
Sure.
trilogy has like a cult following at this point, where it's
Oh.
like
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
like that's what's given it its like feel?
I don't know how often you've looked at Reddit pages when they start talking about, different Spider-Mans that have come out, but like they're all about the Toby, and they're like, yo, why'd they come out with Andrew Garfield? And also like, we ain't having, this other Spider-Man coming out. Like, no, none of this.
Yeah, the lame one. Gosh.
Um,
And I thought maybe like, all right, sure, they put this list on. This must be an older list because this is the Spider-Man trilogy they chose. All right,
no.
sure. Nope.
Well,
this was
what-
published February of 2023.
I thought you would say the next trilogy was like really recent.
Oh no,
That's how you knew.
No.
So like the new Star Wars trilogy.
No. Oh my gosh, if that was on the list,
oh, that'd be
I would
so
throw
funny.
up. Number 3. It's really hard to say. I mean, it's tough. The top 3 are actually good choices. Here we go. Number 3,
Okay.
the Batman trilogy, Christopher Nolan.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Good
Three's
trilogy.
kind of high still. Still higher than Back to the Future, which...
Weird.
About that?
Wouldn't put
It's-
it above Back to the Future.
You wouldn't put really.
Mm-mm.
You
Probably
wouldn't
not.
put Batman above Back to the Future.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like 1 is only okay, and 3 is not great. 2 is really
2
good,
is
though.
incredible.
Like, it's doing all the heavy lifting of this
It does.
trilogy. I feel like to have, like, a really good trilogy, you need 3 good movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And 2 is like one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah. So,
And
like,
then
that's
the other 2
unfair.
is like dragging it down a bit.
Yeah. I think the truth is Heath Ledger just carried it.
I mean,
He's,
yeah,
this
that's
is
true.
this is
Yeah.
all just on the platform of him carrying this trilogy. Good movies
I mean-
though. Number 2, The Godfather.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
kind
no.
of surprised that wasn't 1.
Oh
Yep.
The
no.
Lord of the Rings got to be 1, right?
I mean,
Not for
you are
No,
spoilers.
this
almost
means
certainly
that Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are not on this list together.
right. I thought we said Star Wars can't. There's more movies after Star Wars. Can't be a trilogy,
I guess.
right?
That's
Hello?
not what I would say. The original
There's
Star
like
Wars
12
trilogy
movies.
is a
Can't be
trilogy.
trilogy.
Yeah, but the original one was intended as a trilogy, right? The original set.
I don't know. know.
You literally refer to them as trilogies, like the
I don't
original
know.
trilogy,
Don't-
the new
Don't
trilogy,
you
the
tell me
prequel
how I
trilogy.
refer to Star Wars. I refer to them in sets of 4.
That's right.
Ooh.
Have you guys all seen part 1, part 2, and part 3 of The Godfather?
I've seen literally none of the Godfathers.
Okay,
I
well,
watched it a long time ago.
wow, Caleb. Anybody who has not watched The Godfather, 1 and 2 are an absolute masterpiece. Both of them, absolute masterpiece of filmmaking. The third one is fine, but I
It's a
think
trilogy.
the whole thing is so like the first 2 are so well done that it just props up the third, and I think that's what gives it this spot. I think actually the original Godfather is maybe the highest ranked film of all time on like most lists, generally speaking. Yeah. Great,
Wow.
great series. Number 1 though, of course, boys.
We all
Lord of the
know
Rings.
it.
Lord
Okay,
of the
it's
Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
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 Masterpiece.
It's
Does there-
weird that there's no Star Wars, huh?
That is weird. Mm-hmm. That
Well,
is weird.
they had to make room for Austin Powers.
Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It's too good. I mean,
The Three
honestly,
Colors trilogy, the art
when you
house
look
piece.
at it, Austin Powers is better than Star Wars. We're all
Yeah.
thinking it.
Yep.
That's just crazy.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So much
Better
All
than
those
Star Wars.
trilogies are beat out Star Wars, really?
I mean, at what point does Luke get goop on him and do a funny dance with emo hair? I don't think he ever does.
Whoever wrote this list is just like mad about current Star Wars and just like
Yeah.
did it despite
I could see
Disney.
that.
Any trilogies do you think we're missing from this series,
Star
from
Wars.
this list? Besides Star Wars, we know that, Alex.
I really was expecting number 1 to be the Divergent trilogy because it is
Yeah,
the most
like-
complete trilogy.
Wait, isn't there a fourth
Games?
movie?
Oh, Hunger Games was a fourth game.
That's the funny part. They never made the 4th movie. They split the last book into 2 movies and then never made the second one.
Oh, remember the
There's
days
no
when
way
everybody
they
started
did
doing the
for-
part 1, part 2?
Did you say Hunger Games?
No, Divergent.
Oh,
Divergent.
Divergent.
But that
Okay.
made me think Hunger Games,
Sorry.
and I was like, because the Hunger Games is pretty
They're
solid
all the
movie-wise.
same, aren't they?
Well, I mean, Hunger Games did it first, but
What about Maze Runner? They
Maze
did the
Runner.
same thing there, or they didn't bother making the last one, as far as I'm aware.
They only made 2 of those, right? They didn't make the third one at all?
I think so. I
They,
hope
they
so.
finished Maze Runner.
They did? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the last one called? Maze Time?
Maze Time. I'll figure it out.
Trinity?
Maze time. I love that.
I don't know. The second one's called Scorch Trials. I
Yeah,
see
that's
that.
right.
Maze Runner, the Scorch Trials.
Death
Oh,
Cure.
the Death Cure. Yeah.
Death
how
Cure,
did I-
that's
how did I
right.
fucking forget that. What a good name.
I know
so
that they finished it because I remember watching the third one, and then like they wrapped up the whole story at the very end, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize this was the last movie, and they just like rushed to finish it really quick in the last 20 minutes.
I'm intrigued by this list because I think we got to run back to the like problem of when studios decide to tack on another movie to something that definitely does not deserve it. There are so many things that could be a part of this list. We talked about The Matrix. I think that's important to recognize.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, probably important to recognize here. They were
Sure.
the first 3 movies, incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And then they did The Kingdom of the
Excellent.
Crystal Skull, which was a giant, just garbage dumpster fire.
But
Awful
then they
movie.
made Dial of Destiny, and everyone loved it, again.
It was
Probably.
fine.
How do you guys feel
Um,
about the Oceans trilogy?
See, I was just
Pretty
wondering.
But
does
there's a
that
4th
count?
movie. There is a 4th movie.
Oceans.
Ocean's
10
Eight
or
is
whatever. 8.
different.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I have a
That's
feeling
not
that's why
part of
that's
the
not
series,
included
I
on this
feel like.
list.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's got girls in it.
I feel like
Doesn't
Ocean's
count.
8 is like the difference of having what do you call it, like the Hobbit trilogy versus the regular Lords of the Ring trilogy. Like, I feel like you're allowed to be like, hey, you had the Oceans 11, 12, and 13. That is separate. Then you also have this that's happening in the same universe, but different characters, different story. Like, I think that's fair. If you're gonna have Lords of the Rings do that thing, I feel like you should be able to have Oceans do the same.
Okay. What about the? Well, I guess the original Alien series has 4 movies, not 3, because Joss Whedon did the Resurrection or whatever it was called. But
This other
They
list I'm
called it
looking at
Resurrection.
has like 30 some, and like near the bottom they have Mission Impossible 1 through 3. I'm like, wait a second. Is
Can you
that
just
a trilogy?
pick
What about
any long-running series?
Fast and the Furious?
Wait,
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
I
favorite
think-
trilogy.
I think we're
It's
looking at the
5,
same
5,
list.
6, and 7. Those are my favorites. That's my
Because-
favorite trilogy.
Further on down, they have the Bourne trilogy, which I think actually
Okay.
is an encapsulated trilogy
think
because the
that's a
fourth
trilogy.
movie
That
doesn't
counts.
have
It's
Jason
got
Bourne.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Didn't they made
It's a
another
spin-off.
one with him though?
Yes, it's just called Jason Bourne, I think.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
So
But
how
it's
does
like
that fit in?
It's a fifth movie, but
Doesn't.
it's not a direct like. He wasn't in the fourth, so can you count it as part of a? Is it? What is that even? Is it 4 movie
What is
series?
that
5
even?
movie series?
Oh my god, I looked up a list. Literally on this list is Scream, which was my sarcastic pitch about movies that don't count. Guys, what are we doing?
Missing
The
out.
prequel trilogy is on here. Get out of here. I'm closing this list. I'm very mad.
Okay.
X-Men X2 and X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah,
you could also
great.
do that
Love
too,
it.
because that was part of a. I don't know list. That's
The
hard.
problem is those aren't very good. They shouldn't be on this list for a different reason.
That's true.
It was
That's
a
true.
trilogy, just most of them weren't good.
True.
Oh, Toy Story would have been a good one.
Again,
There's a 4.
Toy Story 4.
there's 4
No, it's-
movies.
Is Toy Story 4 out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's been
shit.
out for
Never mind. Never mind.
a
then.
while.
I take it back.
I cried during it. It was great.
What do you guys think we rate this list? I'm feeling pretty low.
3 out of 10.
They
in honor
didn't
of
put
trilogies.
Star Wars in it.
I'll take. I like 3. I was gonna go 4, but
3
you know,
out of
honestly,
10.
I also think 4. 3 seems kind of low. They got some good ones on there.
They have so many though that are just
Back
out
to
of
the
left
Future
field.
Yeah.
is number
True.
8.
You
Yeah,
can't.
that's true. Okay, we can leave it at 3. That's
I
fine.
feel like if you're gonna put an artsy movie like the Color trilogy that released in 3 countries, you cannot put Austin Powers on it too. I think that's illegal.
This list from Empire has a bunch of weird stuff on it lower, but the top 3 are Back to the Future, original Star Wars trilogy, Lord of the Rings, which I think is probably the correct list.
I like that.
Here's one that I like from IMDb. We've got X-Men Origins Wolverine, the Wolverine,
No.
and Logan
What?
As a
trilogy?
as a trilogy.
The Wolverine trilogy, obviously.
Oh.
They all star Wolverine. It must be a trilogy.
That's got to be a part of the unofficial trilogy list for sure.
I love that so much.
That's good stuff. All right, we're gonna give it a 3 out of 10. I'll find a better one next time, or maybe a worse one. I really like the bad ones because I like when we
Yeah.
have to really just dump on it. Let's move on to some news-related things. First and foremost, since we play a lot of video games, this is obviously relevant, but SAG-AFTRA is seeking approval for a vote for video game voice actor strike. They just had a unanimous vote from the board to send over the strike to members. Alex, anything else to note there?
Yeah, I guess they are in negotiations with a bunch of the big like publishers like Activision, Disney, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, like all these big guys, WB. And those negotiations are set to resume on September 26th. So they want to get all this approval through for the strike to be like a bargaining chip when they come back to the table on the 26th. So they can be like, hey, if things aren't going our way, this is something, we can push back with, like, we're going to engage this strike. So that doesn't mean that they are going to strike anytime soon yet. It could be another month from now or so. But
like in terms of like affecting video games, I mean, I know their production is very long. Their development cycle is incredibly long. I don't know at what point they start working with voice actors. Is that something we would see like pretty immediately, or is it like a more long-term issue?
yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know for sure. I would presume that they could do a lot of work on stuff that doesn't involve the actors for like a lot of different types of games.
Sure.
And still get work done. Things that have a lot of mocap could be a problem.
Oh, Gollum.
point.
Because
Yeah,
that
Gollum 2 is gonna get delayed.
because like that's ingrained in the gameplay itself. So
Sidebar: does anybody know if wouldn't it be cool if like Andy Serkis actually came back and did mocap for the Gollum video
For
game?
Gollum, I would laugh my ass off. That'd be the
I feel so
funniest
bad
thing.
for him.
Man.
Okay, so this is all going down as like a potential bargaining chip on the 26th.
Yeah.
Is there any end in sight to this?
The other stuff, I haven't heard any budging on either side really so far.
I've heard that there's a lot more like smaller studios and things that are starting to kind of pick back up in production because they have agreed and they are doing the thing.
Yep.
So because they're following like what A24 has been up to, and so like them plus the smaller kind of like YouTube groups like Dropout being okayed and they're also in production is like kind of pushing more of that happening. And so with all of the small stuff happening, it's kind of their gamble is the fact that at some point the big ones have to cave, because otherwise it's just going to be all of the, you're going to see Henry Cavill do stuff for Dropout or for like some YouTube show or some shit.
Yeah.
Because they're actually the ones that are paying.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. At the end of the day, do you think this ends up with some like big studios having to shutter some things with the smaller studios picking up more work? Or do you see this ending and like finally we get to a point where negotiations are able to complete and we like things get back to not necessarily normal, but like a year after like the last time we had a writer's strike, we had like Heroes come out and then they had a really bad season. And then we had good TV again, like a year later.
I mean, I think probably it'll kind of swing back into things like, as much as I despise the big companies, like I'm sure that this hasn't even put a dent into their lines of money that that Netflix and Disney Plus and Prime and all of those fuckers have. So like I'm sure that this isn't hurting them and they can wait it out longer.
Which is funny because I'm fairly certain that none of those streaming services have posted profits for like the last 3 or 4 quarters. They're all losing subscribers. They're losing original content. They're having to just scrape and find other things that have been, produced in the past and posted as, hey, like Netflix right now. All the stuff that's coming out on Netflix for September and October is like there's very little that's original. It's mostly just, hey, we're able to land this trilogy, which is, Mission Impossible 1 through 3. Things like that. It just doesn't feel like that is enough to hold them over. Like I know you're saying like it doesn't make a dent, but they're already hedging money there. You would think they would need to maneuver somehow in order to not hedge money here as well.
I'm wondering if we get like a resurgence of middle budget production stuff. Since like all the big budget stuff is on hold currently.
What's your best example of a middle budget thing? This is rapid fire questions, Alex.
Yeah.
We literally just talked about Black Phone. Black Phone? Is that the name of that movie?
Black Phone?
The Black Phone.
The Black Phone.
What's the
what it's called, right? Yes, the Black Phone. That's probably mid-budget, right? Like one location.
Probably.
Budget
like A24 type stuff.
Yeah, A24.
A24 would be considered.
Or just kind of like
possibly.
I mean, I think that a lot of people have complained about how like the smaller comedies or like were no longer a thing.
Yeah,
sure.
And that like they were like, yeah, it's only like big budget stuff or not at all because like you don't have the rom-coms or whatever that are like they only made it for $20 million, put it in theaters and it made like 150 stuff that that you'd see with like with what's his fucking Seth Rogen in or whatever. And so like I think we might see more of that happen. I'd like to see more of that happen. I know that one with Jennifer Lawrence that came out did pretty solid.
Yeah, that did well.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Games, yes.
I feel like associating a budget
No
with a
hard
film
feelings.
also is kind of weird because you can have masterpieces like Napoleon Dynamite, which only cost $400,000 to make. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, John Carter, which cost $250 million to produce,
Oh yeah, I mean, look at we talked about it. Look at Dial of Destiny that just came out. That like Disney lost hundreds of millions of dollars on because they were like, oh yeah, Harrison Ford is back and people are going to spend so much money on this, and then like fucking no one went to go see it. And I was like, I don't know, like it just seems very interesting to see the execs say statements of like I forget who it was, but somebody was just like, we're not spending money on original IPs anymore, we're only doing sequels or like spin-offs because that's like proven to get our money back. But at the same time I'm also like, but why? Because then you have things like Barbie that just showed up, original IP. There was no Barbie storyline before this. Or
I mean, it's based on an IP, though. You can't say it's not.
I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that. It is a brand that exists before, but like there was no story of Barbie that they're just like, hey, let's just do that again, or let's remake it from the 80s or whatever, right? Like they just were like, hey, let's make a movie of something, and then it did well. And
I was just gonna say, I feel like the king of this like mid-budget movie thing is Blumhouse.
Sure.
They put out a shit ton of totally original IPs, and the reason they can do it is because rather than making one movie worth $100 million, they make $100 million movies, and then if just one of them hits, you get all your money back and then some.
Yeah, I kind of question the like how many hits does it take method, right?
I'm sure.
Because like when Disney hits big, and like that's fine, like they're Disney, they make hundreds of movies. But I think that's kind of the thing that I question is when they're just like, oh, we can't possibly do anything that's not original IP because it costs us so much money. And I'm just like, but when you hit, you make so much fucking, like, I don't know, I feel like at some point that evens out for them and it's not that big of a deal, but they're acting like it's a huge problem when I'm just like, is it really a problem for you though? Or are you just greedy and want to only have winners? Like, are you just kind of sitting there just being like, oh, we never want to have a bad movie, we only want to have good movies, which is like, I don't know. I think that's fair for them to want that, but I think it's weird for them to like say that out loud and just be like, we're going to never make bad movies and we're going to stop doing anything different because it might make a bad movie. And I'm just like, well, now you're definitely shooting yourself in the foot.
Well, I think that also has to do with like, at the end of the day, they're answering to shareholders, and those shareholders are working with like the board and the C-suite execs who work at Disney, right? And they're the people who are making decisions. Then at the end of the day, they're going to go, I don't want some weird original garbage that somebody wrote in a book at some point to be published on the Disney platform. No, I would prefer something we're familiar with. Let's get back to like some classics. Indiana Jones, for instance. Let's make a new film.
To go on to our discussion of this, I did want to bring up that how like Taylor Swift mentioned her like she's doing her like tour movie theater run. Yep. Like, hey, watch my tour. It's going to be in movies, and it outsold pre-tickets in 24 hours than Endgame. Like it's the biggest pre-sale that like any movies has ever done, and like. And like people were doing the math on it, and it's already because like it took her, I think they mentioned like it took her like 10 maybe like 15 million to make that movie, which also was approved by SAG-AFTRA because she paid everybody the right amount. She went over there and was like, how much do I have to make sure that I pay so this can actually get produced, and she did that. And like the pre-sales have already like put it over like 200 million over like of profit.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah,
I think Chad brought this up a couple weeks ago, but like she's somewhat credited for basically preventing a recession.
Oh yeah, no, like, and I do agree that this is a phenomenon, right? But I do think that it's hilarious to me that there is gotta be discussions happening right now and high level boards about being like, oh my god, how did this person show up, spend $10 million, they're already making $100 million off the movie, how the fuck do we do that? Can we do that? Do we have somebody that we can make into, like, who do we need to put on a music tour? Like, I'm sure they're having this fucking conversation right now, and that tickles me so much because, like,
certainly.
You can't capture that lightning in a bottle, and they're gonna fucking try. I also know that I read an article that was talking about how distribution companies are pissed off about her doing it because she didn't go through a distribution company. She made it herself and then is like, I'm going to give it to AMC myself. I don't have to use a distribution company. And so they're like, hey, if you don't need a distribution company to do your thing, then what's Disney or Universal or whoever, when they make their next movie, gonna think that maybe they don't need to use us either? And I'm just like, maybe they don't. Maybe weird. Maybe the years of that being a part of the industry is gonna go bye soon, and that's kind of cool.
I don't know how she did that so fast, because she's still touring. Like, how is there gonna be like a
easy peasy
movie version?
I
already?
mean, yeah, they filmed like the 3 nights that she did in LA, and they're just gonna stitch that together into a movie.
It's crazy.
Why not? Listen,
have you done any research on this tour at all? Like, seen any of the like 400 IQ thinking that Taylor Swift does with the different dates and yeah. So there's no doubt in my mind that she was like, I'm also going to do a movie, and then she just started producing it like right at the beginning. Did voiceovers, dialogues, different in monologues, and then all they needed to do was get the footage, and then just have her just shooting the crap just on the buses and stuff like that, and just I mean it seems like a super easy movie to make.
A lot of horror documentary things like that are just being like, hey, watch the video of us being on tour or whatever, right? Like, a lot of that stuff is not that difficult to make, because you're just like, all right, you're filming something that's already happening, that's already paid for, right? She's already done the budget for the 3 days and the 3 nights or whatever in LA. So like, that's already gonna be broken even, paid for, and everything. So you're just filming that, paying the crew to film that, and then, as Chad said, you do a little bit of voiceover work at the beginning and end or whatever, and being like, yeah, okay, here's day 89 on tour, and then you just interstitch that in and you're done. Like, it's not hard.
This ain't like Christopher Nolan having to go over to Japan to like recreate a bomb. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's actually not what happened. Just FYI, just if anybody's fact checking, I just want to throw it out there.
Just immediately start searching.
To go back to like the mid-budget thing though, Blumhouse I almost think would be considered like low budget.
Sure,
with their
that's
type of
also
stuff.
fair.
Mid-budget, I'm thinking like somewhere around like 50 million, like somewhere in there. So example that I pulled from randomly trying to Google search for it, Zodiac cost $65 million to make.
Oh, really?
Like, what a excellent film. Just like, plot-driven, thriller-driven, actor-driven, like that style of movie. You don't need a bunch of special effects. Just like really talented people working on stuff with like enough money to do pretty much whatever they want within reason,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many of David Fincher's other films were $50 million films, because I'm going to guess very, very few.
Maybe not. That also made me think of Spotlight for some reason, which apparently costs like 20 million to make.
Spotlight only costs 20 million. What a phenomenal film. I have seen that like 6 times. It's so freaking good. Guys, go watch Spotlight. Okay, talk about a couple other things in news. We'll hop off of, SAG-AFTRA and video game voice actors and Taylor Swift and all that fun stuff. I did want to bring up, have you guys looked into the iPhone 15's USB-C port thing that they're being required to do?
We talked about it on the podcast a long time ago, before anybody really knew anything.
So, the I guess big news. Apple's about to have their iPhone 15 event, which is going to be happening on the 12th, I think, next week.
Hey, we don't know that for sure. It's just a special event.
Speculation. Speculation. Yep. One of the components of this is that the EU requires, as a part of their new standards, they require you to have a universal charging port on a phone, on a device, which in the EU is currently the USB-C, because it's used on, every other device that exists at this point, because it's a great freaking charger. First of all, you can turn it both directions. I don't know what took USB-C, the company, which I'm assuming produces all USB-C cables. So I don't know what took them so long to make a both directions are correct cable, but proud of you. It's excellent.
USB-C, the company.
Yes.
USB-C company. That's what the C stands for. In USB.
Yes.
Company.
USB company.
USB company.
Makes sense.
So the interesting little factoid, I guess, is Apple has this program that they called the Made for iPhone program. They've had for a long time, and it's mostly based on Lightning cables. And basically what they do is they will have made for iPhone Lightning cables that feature higher transfer rates of data and higher charging speeds because they meet a special standard that Apple has put together because they want only the highest level of quality for products that are produced for iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm.
The important part is with USB-C, even though the EU is requiring them to have the cable or have the port on these phones, which presumably they're going to have to because they don't really have a choice. The port, there's some speculation that they're going to bring this made for iPhone feature into the USB-C world, and they will have only Apple-specific USB-C cables that feature full transfer speeds for the phone. And if you were to use any other regular USB-C cable, it will not transfer at the top data rate that you would normally be able to use with your iPhone. And it will also not charge at the top speed that you'd normally be able to use with an iPhone made for iPhone USB-C cable. Is that not stupid?
Does that mean it's like purposefully throttled a normal
Yes.
USB-C
Yes.
will be purpose?
100%.
Absurd.
Basically,
Man,
all
that is absurd.
these cables at this point have small chips in them anyways. Just, you know, it's a piece of hardware, right? So it has a small chipset in it that's allowing it to give it, whether it's a data, some cables are not data cables. Some cables are limited on their charger speed based on the wire gauge. There's a lot of components that go into building a cable. And from their standpoint, they're just going to have their speculation that there's this small component on the iPhone 15 that's going to limit transfer rates unless you have a made for iPhone USB-C cable.
That is insane.
They're stupid, but also I think this is also their like middle finger to the EU's requirements to make them put USB-C ports on iPhones, which I think is also stupid because who likes Lightning? No one. No one likes
Apple
Lightning.
does.
Who cares?
Well, here's the question with that, right? Is it just the UK that's going to get that product, but then the rest of the world is still going to get lightning cables?
Presumably, yes. Yeah.
All right, so
would
I'm
not
flying
make
over to
sense.
the UK to get an iPhone real quick, and I'm coming.
You could just buy one and have it shipped over here. But the problem is they've probably tied the chipset on the phone to be regional, so you won't be able to have it unlocked to be able to use it in the US because those phones are manufactured differently.
It's really weird. I'm surprised. Like we talked about it when we talked about it last time. We said there's a possibility they just don't put a port on the phone, which I thought was way more likely. I'm surprised they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Just moving completely to the whatever that charging's called, the little
Wireless.
What's the disc
charging
called?
without a wire.
MagSafe.
MagSafe. Thank you.
I basically don't plug my phone in ever to any cables, so
I plug it into
I
my
don't
car
really care, I
because
think.
it doesn't have
Yeah.
wireless AirPlay.
It's
that's
I-
true. I use it there.
when I'm at home I don't plug it in, but when I travel I do.
I don't. Yeah, that's right. I don't take a MagSafe or Mag, whatever they're called. Whatever.
It's-
I don't take
take
one of those
the-
wireless chargers with me.
I take the wireless
a cord.
charger with me. The only time I plug it in is in the car. That's a good point. The car.
Which at this point, we're almost to the point at which you could just buy a little device to do wireless CarPlay anyways.
I've seen those on TikTok.
Yeah.
They're tempting.
They are.
They're expensive though. Like $100.
I still think this is dumb for what it's worth.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's incredibly
obviously.
dumb.
Yeah, pretty dumb.
I think a lot of things Apple does are dumb, but you know, when you're the biggest company in the world by like
Mhm.
probably
A lot.
billions of dollars at this point,
Just do whatever you want.
whatever.
What are people gonna do? Not buy the new iPhone? No shot.
I've also heard
Like
just other rumors about this phone. I've also heard they're not really doing a lot of upgrades in terms of chipset, data speeds, its radio receiver for the phone itself. Like a lot of it's going to be very similar to the iPhone 14. They've maybe like made some minor upgrades, but save your money.
Don't
buy
they
the
usually
phone.
just make minor upgrades like every other
No, there's.
year?
I mean, usually there's a generational upgrade when they go to the next number, whatever that number is. It's usually big feature changes. What were you gonna say, Alex?
Artificially limiting it if the cable can support it is stupid, but
Yes.
the idea of like having rated cables that they approve of being able to do the different things is, I think, a good idea.
Yeah,
Because
that's fine.
USB is like so murky at this point on the different things that it can do, and you can be buying like a cheap cable that you assume is going to be able to support whatever you think it's going to support, and then it just doesn't, and there's not like great ways to tell.
Yeah,
Like,
kind of like
even-
HDMI's.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
It is
HDMI
very
the
true.
same.
I actually had
Odd.
that issue way back. I forget what was happening, but
You were using like an HDMI V1.4, and it
Yeah.
doesn't support 60 hertz 1440p or something.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Crazy.
And
And
it's
then
not
I
like
switched
they
to HDMI's
list.
and then boom, it worked.
Like a
It's-
lot of times to be able to find that information, you have to look at the teeny tiny text on the side of the cord too, and it's not
Yup.
always there. You have to
Yeah.
find the like
Only
number
some
of
of
the
them.
cable.
The text on the side of the cable doesn't have like, this is an HDMI 1.4 cable. No, it's like, this is a high speed HDMI cable, and then you have to go to the internet and be like, all right, what does high speed mean?
Yeah.
Because there's high speed, there's like ultra high speed, there's like 8K, there's like
right.
whatever.
Right.
So like all the HDMI 2.1 cables now, because that's like the current new standard, those are labeled 8K, even though
Listen.
nobody is using 8K at all anywhere.
Quote unquote high speed is the same thing as free range with chicken. It's marketing. That's all it is. It's like, hey, let's just label it with this. Everybody will buy it. It's just high speed. Done.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I mean, you got
Apple's
a high
dumb.
definition HD,
Yeah.
1080p. That's not even that good anymore.
True. Okay, last but not least in news, and I think Tim was the one who told everybody about this
Yeah,
in
he
our
posted
Discord.
on the Discord.
But Volition has officially shuttered, closed the doors.
Yeah, it's a shame. So they're the Saints Row guys. And they've been on kind of a cold streak. Their last two games, Agents of Mayhem and the Saints Row reboot, kind of went over like a lead balloon. But still, it's heartbreaking, dude. The original Saints Row trilogy, where was that on our list? Was actually, Saints Row is 4 games. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But the original Saints Row games are great. They're really fun. And it's just a shame that, they're going down now. I know maybe there was some, because they got acquired by Embracer Group, and Embracer Group, big deal just fell through, so I think they're trying to just stop hemorrhaging money. But it's a shame. You get studios like Volition who maybe didn't deserve it. I mean, you could argue they did, right? 2 bad games in a row. What are they doing? But it's a
Does that mean
shame.
we're never going to get a new Red Faction game?
There's no way.
forever.
Someone's
The
gonna
IP's
pick up
gonna
this
buy the
IP.
IP. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Embracer still has all the IPs.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So maybe we'll get another one of those. Maybe we'll get another Saints Row reboot. Probably not. But it's kind of heartbreaking. Volition's been
Yeah.
around for a long time.
30 years, I think.
30 years, really.
Yeah.
Making games for that long. Wow. Good for them. I mean, sad to see them go.
Not
but
anymore.
Jeez. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Not quite 30. Not quite 30.
Like,
they
I
were founded
wish-
in 96.
Yeah, okay. I wish they would have like done not Saints Row. Like maybe that would have saved them. They got stuck on the Saints Row thing, and they just like kept on hammering on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I don't know.
That's because they hit it with the dildo bat, and then they thought it was like the greatest thing in the world, and then they just like, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
got
gotta
it.
do.
Like they made Descent and Free Space 2 back in the day. Like what are they doing with those IPs, man?
It's tragic.
Is Saints Row the only thing they have made in the past 10 years or so?
Like decade, yeah, something like that.
Is Agents
Yikes.
of Mayhem technically a Saints Row game, or is it separate?
It is.
Okay. It's virtually
Okay.
the same if it wasn't considered one.
Okay, fair enough. I know basically nothing about it besides the fact that it exists and it wasn't that good.
We talked about it a
Yikes.
bit on the Discord, but like if they had done Red Fraction again,
Red Fraction.
Red
That's the
Fraction.
math game that
It's
they
the
do.
sequel to Frog
Sequel to Frog,
Fractions.
right? Yep.
Yeah.
they had like geomod technology in modern day physics engines and stuff.
Man, was the last Red Faction game in 2011?
Yep,
Gorilla.
What are we
Was that the
doing?
last one?
Armageddon.
No, Armageddon. What are we doing? Like, seriously, that would have been huge. I think people would have been actually really excited about that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Heartbreaking.
Like even Get Out of Hell, I don't think did that great.
I mean, it was like a mini musical thing,
Yeah.
almost like a DLC, right? Like I got to assume Saints Row 4 did fucking gangbusters, and if it didn't, it should have. It was amazing.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 on Steam, 7.8 out of 10 IGN. Wow, yeah, solid.
Oh yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, one quick note in Tabletop. We have started our new series. We started it last month. Of course, if you saw it on Twitch, and we're not calling it a Twitch exclusive because, well, someone didn't download the VOD, so I have nothing to edit anymore.
Love it.
So our first episode of the series, Morkborg? How's it pronounced, Caleb?
Merkbori.
Merkbori.
Every time.
Allegedly. We are going to be doing our next one in a little bit before our next cast. So I think on the, what day is that? What did I say? 17th? Yeah, 17th. Going to be doing the One Ring 2E. So excited about that.
Your first experience with 2E, right?
Yeah, my first experience. Yep. Couldn't be from Pathfinder. Has to be the One Ring.
Yep.
It's okay. I'm excited about it. So come check that out. We'll be streaming some point that Sunday. I don't know when exactly. I don't know. Probably like late afternoon, early evening.
Just to be safe, pull up our Twitch channel and have it open all day Sunday.
Yeah, all day Sunday.
You don't want to miss it.
Yeah. Film. Let's talk about Dream Scenario. Chadwick.
Yeah, so we're talking about movies, and we mentioned A24, and I've been following a couple of their things. One of the things that's coming out is called Dream Scenario, which is a dark comedy starring Nicolas Cage, which,
Heck,
I'm already
yes.
excited because
Greatest
he's
actor of our generation.
so great. Supposedly the plot is something along the lines of he gets famous because people start dreaming about him.
Huh.
So I don't really know where it's gonna go from there, but we'll see what that's all about. Couple of other names in here is Michael Cera, Dylan Baker. They got some people in here that are kind of known, but Nicolas Cage, big boy.
Heck yeah, dude. It's a huge name drop.
I
Can't believe they landed him.
I can't believe there's a scenario of somebody gets famous through everybody dreaming about them. I'd be so worried if people started dreaming about me that I didn't know.
I really like that this is Nick Cage's second film in 2 years that has something directly to do with him being famous.
Yeah, it's always about him being famous.
If you have not seen The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, go watch it. It is a freaking just wild ride. Excellent film.
Is that the one where Nick Cage is just playing Nick Cage?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about him. Yeah, being himself, just being famous. It's great. Great film. And Pedro Pascal, hard to beat that guy. Man. Great actor. When is this one released soon though, Chad?
It said 2023. Yeah, it's 2023. I don't see
November.
November.
10th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is what I see.
Yeah, November 10th.
Huh. You forgot about Dix the Musical, which is another film from A24 that's releasing this month.
Like the sporting goods store?
Yes. There's a musical. Dude, honestly, think about how cool that would be. A musical that's about the people who work at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Honestly, Alex and I already made a musical about Rack Room shoes. So.
Can you guys just sing us a line from the musical?
Yeah.
No.
So it goes, rack the room with shoes. Da-na-na-na-na. Rack the room with shoes. And that was like us being 2 hours in Rack Room shoes with our mother.
Nice.
Wow.
Love it.
Good
Love
times.
it. By the way, Dick's Sporting Goods, I don't know if you guys know this, but they have like a discount store that they send all their stuff to. That's called Going Gone.
Oh.
I would have
It's
called
still-
it Dick's Count Sporting Goods.
I
but okay.
know, right? There you go. Or Discounted Dicks. Either one would have been just
Richard Sporting Goods.
Could also
I like that
great.
one.
Oh, great.
have been just Tiny Dicks.
All excellent. Lower
Cheap
priced. Yeah.
Cheap Dicks.
Christmas.
Okay, let's move on to some video game related things. I did want to bring up that Baldur's Gate 3
more bang for your buck.
has Baldur's Gate 3 has officially fallen out of the top 10 video games of all time list.
I don't believe
Did
it.
you guys know this?
How did this happen?
They have gone from a 97 to a 96 on Metacritic, and
Who
that
did
takes
this?
them from in the top 10 list to number 30.
Who thought it was too hard to romance the characters?
Who did this?
That
Sad.
list of 30 is jacked because there are multiple copies of the same game in that list above it.
Oh,
Are there
sure.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like
'Cause they're
separated by platform.
Yep.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. So I wonder what they would actually be at if you take out all the duplicates.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mid-20s, maybe?
Somewhere in
I
there.
bet.
I am just intrigued as to why they've been getting more negative reviews as of late, because as far as I'm concerned, their hotfixes and their patches have only made the game better.
You know what it probably is? People who are like, I'm not going to post my review until I'm done playing it. And they're only just now finishing it.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, you have a smaller outlet and you're like, hey guys, here's my review in progress. When I'm done, it'll be done.
I mean, didn't it just this week finally get to PlayStation players and
Yeah.
and
that's
Xbox
the
is
issue.
Xbox is still nowhere to be seen, right? Like they still don't have it.
Confirm.
They got to the PlayStation people, and it's like Starfield. Yeah,
Starfield.
Starfinder.
whatever. They noticed that there is the ability to go against the gender norm, and so that's why it's starting to get review bombed.
Makes sense. It's all coming together.
Could be the case.
37, but there's 9 duplicates above it.
There's 9 duplicates. Okay, so it'd be in the
Nice.
still in the top 30, so 20 something.
28, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. 1 point takes them from top 10 to 28th.
Top
30
10 of my
whatever.
heart.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's a
say Game of the
solid
Year right
game,
there.
guys.
Holy crap!
It's a
There's a
solid
lot of
game.
video games.
Are there though?
1 point means a lot.
I should have used this as a transition from film to video games, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, I think is what it's called. The movie that recently was released, was so popular that they've decided to make a sequel video game, not a sequel show, sequel video game that's going to be coming out next year.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like Shredder's Revenge?
Honestly,
Like, because
That would be
it probably
cool.
should be. I'd play that probably.
I don't know if there's any specific details on the way the gameplay is going to work, but I would presume that it's going to probably have some similar feel to that. I think most Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games in general have a similar vibe. It's a lot of side-scrolling beat 'em ups.
I don't know what you're going to do with the characters other than
Yeah.
that, to be honest.
Yeah.
You ain't going
Honestly-
to make Elden Ring about them.
I would be okay with a turn-based TMNT game though. That'd be cool.
There's no way.
How
Yeah.
cool would that be though?
I mean,
no,
it could
no
be
like
cool.
young kid's gonna get a TMNT game and it's gonna be turn-based. They're gonna be like,
Ugh.
Well, let's just do it like let's just do it the Baldur's Gate way, where you don't have to have turn-based. You can play everything real time, but that you can turn on turn-based, right?
I just don't know how Baldur's Gate works.
that's not how Baldur's Gate works at all.
I know,
Have you played Baldur's Gate?
I have Baldur's just a little bit,
I think you mean
I'm-
the Pathfinder game.
That's what I meant.
I'm
Pathfinder
most
games.
surprised that this movie is really popular because I've heard like nothing about it.
I've heard nothing
Yeah,
but good
curious.
things about it.
None of us have seen it, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
It's Seth Rogen, right? He's like executive producer.
Oh, weird.
I did not know that.
And he also plays Bebop.
It makes me less interested
Does
in
he?
watching it.
Yeah, I
Really,
honestly,
just because it's Seth Rogen?
Yeah,
It makes
that's
me
all-
more interested.
100%.
It's good.
I thought buzz around this movie was kind of bad. I'm glad to hear that it's doing good because the animation style I always thought was really interesting.
Yeah,
I thought
it looks
it looked
really cool.
visually
Looks
really
very
cool, and I
unique.
was like, oh. And then I heard some negative buzz, and I was like, oh, well, maybe that means it's gonna be bad. But I guess it was good. I don't know.
Seth Rogen is very hit or miss with me.
I mean, yeah.
He's very
Man.
miss with me, I feel like.
There are some absolutely phenomenal films that he's been a part of, but there is some garbage out there too.
He's very hit for me because he takes that hit of the joint.
Oh yeah, he does.
Boom.
Pineapple
Got
Express.
him. That's
Yeah.
weed joke. Do you get it?
I don't get it.
Smokes
Can you explain it?
Smokes a bunch of weed. That's what Seth Rogen does.
Jackie
Okay, one
Chan
of the-
plays Splinter.
Does he really? That's
Yeah.
great casting right there. That's awesome.
John Cena's in it
As John Cena.
As John Cena.
as Rocksteady.
I hope so.
Oh, that makes sense.
Great pick.
He just, I mean, his chin looks like he's Rocksteady. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it fits the character profile.
Man, now I just want to go see this movie. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it got on Rotten Tomatoes right now? Anybody know? Anybody see that? Oh.
It's a good thing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a really short word to type.
97.
97%, yeah.
That's
Pretty
pretty
good.
audience score.
Ooh, high.
P dang good.
Dang.
Okay. All right. Cool. It's just the art style looks cool. I think this is this falls in the arcane like not stylization but the feel of like some new type of animation that just seems unique and it makes me want to go see it because the animation is so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
That's
think
what-
that means they're going to add the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to League of Legends? And that's
my
the game they're
gosh.
going to make is
Please.
League
Yes.
of Teenage Mutant Ninja
They're gonna get
Turtles.
announced in Project L as fighters.
Oh, that would be so cool.
That would be neat. Okay, a couple other things in video games. Quake 2, we've been playing this very, very recent game, which came out, I think, just like a month or so ago.
Yeah, brand new.
Brand new campaign. Very excited about it. I don't know
Actually,
who's supposed to
it's a
talk
brand new
about this.
campaign that came out like a
Brand
month
new
ago.
campaign for a 30-year-old game.
I tossed it up here. Alex and I played through Quake proper, so like the initial story, which I've got to say, the voice acting and the cinematics that they do in each cutscene is at like Baldur's Gate needs to step it up, like 100%. It's actually hilarious. It's some digital, like somebody just talked and they just put like a digital effect over the voice, and it's like accessing. So go to Starfinder, and you know when you get there, look for the episodes I'm in, and you'll find the ones where I'm the android, and it basically sounds like that.
Hmm.
But it's it was I don't know, it's a fun game, very fast paced. There's like lots of secrets you can go find all throughout. It's very interesting how, in my opinion, well developed it is for such an old game. And then they came out with new content for various different classic shooters. Alex was looking around, and it was like Doom.
This is like the most recent one they did Quake 2, but they
Yeah.
had previously enhanced Quake 1 and gave it an extra expansion, and like Doom before that,
Right.
original Doom.
So Alex made the comment as we're going into this Quake 2 playthrough of 2023 with Caleb and Aaron. It was like, I wonder what the cutscenes are going to look like. Well, there's none.
They just didn't do it,
Zero
which is
Loves
probably
it.
a good call.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So,
Because I don't know how, like, what you do. Like, it'd be weird if they made like a good cutscenes for that game, and then
Yeah.
like there'd be like the disparity between the old stuff when you were just playing like this old game. But if they made like new cutscenes that looked that terrible, that would be weird too. I don't know.
so in the Quake proper, you basically hit campaign, you start, and it puts you in level 1, and then you play through each level, and it progresses you through this, like, quote-unquote story, whatever the story may be. In the 2023 story, it drops you in this, like, ship location, kind of like Destiny 2, you know, hangar style.
Like Crash Bandicoot, man.
Yeah, it's
okay,
like a
Crash
hub.
Bandicoot. There we go. And so you just go choose levels, but none of them are locked, so you could just choose any of them. And like I think we chose wrong like the first 3 times we tried to go into quote unquote wrong. I still don't know the proper order.
You can probably do them in any order.
yeah.
That's the point.
You basically start with no guns anyways every single time you log into each one. So
We
the very
did
first
load into
one-
one. They gave us a BFG as the first weapon.
Yeah, that was like the
Which
first
felt
map we
weird.
did. That was weird.
right.
That level is about just mowing hordes of dudes down.
But essentially, the progression of like OG Quake is like you're finding these weapons throughout the campaign, and in this one, it's you're finding all of these same weapons throughout a single level, but then you're starting at stock each time in these levels. We haven't gotten through all of it, but there is a circle in the middle that looks like it's floating, and like something that's intended for final level after you beat everything on the outskirts, Crash Bandicoot style. And maybe it's like a final boss or something. Also, if you get to whatever that lava level is, don't go back into that lava level because you will be stuck and have to replay everything again. There's absolutely no way, unless you have cheats on, for you to get out of that level. So it was quite fascinating for us to see.
Yep.
All in all, if you're looking at Quake 2 for something more innovative in the 2023 content, it's not. It's Quake 2. It is definitely still the classic shooter. Speed. You go faster if you bunny hop. So everybody's jumping, and all you hear is
Constantly.
It's
and then you can hear everybody's armor pickups, which is just like crunch, 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 crunch.
I love that.
It's great.
It's
all
got
sound
individual
effects are-
item drops for everybody, so everybody can pick up the items individually, but you hear everybody pick them up.
That was a conscious choice.
It's funny.
Yeah. So it's a fun
Excellent.
time though. It's a good classic shooter, fun time.
Last but not least in the video game section, let's talk about a game that was not released 20 plus years ago, but
Finally time.
brand new IP from Bethesda, Starfield.
Engine was 20 years ago, it feels like.
Quite possibly so.
Mm-hmm.
We should talk a little bit about Starfield, which released, actually, I think, was it yesterday?
Yep.
Well, it depends. Were you willing to give Todd Howard $100?
Well, some people were. I'm not going to name names.
Aaron
Early
was.
access.
You, Aaron,
Early
yeah.
access was last week. I think last Friday is when it started. And then, of course, we had full game release on the 6th.
It was actually like the evening of the 5th somehow. Like it unlocked at like 5 p.m.
Yeah, Steam says
Well,
the
they're-
5th.
They're using space time, Alex.
Oh, true.
So, Aaron, you paid $100 for this hot take.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. How is it?
Let me start with the reason I was so excited about this game. Skyrim is at this point, I think it's actually my second favorite game of all time. I think Elden Ring has officially beat it out in my mind.
Wow.
Skyrim is your second.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
I love. I put hundreds and hundreds of hours in Skyrim.
Man,
I
so
played.
you must love this one. Huh?
Well, of course, I love space. It's my other
Mhm.
favorite thing. That's why we're playing a Starfinder campaign.
Two
And why
favorite things
Combat
together.
is my favorite thing. Starship
How
Combat
can
is
it
incredible.
not be your favorite?
Yeah. This game, Starfield, lots of great things about it. Also some not so great things about it. What I love about Starfield.
Yeah, what do you love?
It follows the Bethesda model. It has the same basic, here's the main quest, here's all of the different side factions you can go be a part of and join and kind of approach the main story however you want. Love that.
Wait, back up a second. There's
Yes.
a quest in this game?
Yes, there
I
is. Get out of
am
here.
5 hours in, and I haven't done jack shit other than kill pirates.
That's also fun. It's also fun. I also love the flexibility of approach. I feel like a lot of what I've played in the past with Bethesda games, Fallout, Elder Scrolls games, you can really choose your approach. Maybe not so much in combat because they have always really struggled with combat. Most people who play Skyrim, you're going to play freaking stealth because that's what everybody does. Unless you decide, you know what, I'm just going to get some draconic armor and I'm going to run around with a big sword. That's cool too, but first time you play stealth, you shoot people with arrows from a mile away. They have no idea what's going on. Starfield has resolved a lot of Bethesda's combat mechanic woes. I think this game plays a lot better from a combat. Like the combat feels better. The gunplay it's fine. I mean, it's not incredible, but it's still fun. But I think they've fixed most of the problems they had in the past with that. And also the scope, I guess, the idea of the amount of content in this game is vast. The actual amount of content in this game in terms of like things on planets, maybe not so vast, but it's not as scaled back as I think people were concerned about from the beginning. I think there was a lot of concern that you were going to land on a planet, it was going to have one place and you were going to leave. That is definitely not the case, but you are very much so limited as to what you can do in some places. And some planets have basically nothing on it. So I like this game a lot. It is not my favorite game of the year, but I like this game a lot. Yes.
Crazy.
I still have
Is
lots to
it
play.
top 5 game of the year?
Is it top 5? Yeah, it's top 5 game of the year so far. But I've played a lot more than. It sounds like Owen's only played 5 hours. I've played.
You've played
22,
many more
23 hours.
than
I don't
me.
know.
I don't think this hits top 5 of the year solely because this year has had a lot of games that have come out.
It has had a lot of games.
Kind of stacked.
Has had a lot of games. Who else has played? I don't want to talk about this myself. Who else has played this game?
I've played a good amount. I've played like 6 hours.
Okay, so you're a little bit further than me as well.
And I've done more than shoot pirates, so
I mean, I don't know. Like I'm playing this as I do anything of I found an outpost, I looted it so much that I'm over encumbered and can't fast travel, and now I have to walk very slowly to the other end of the map. This is how I play Bethesda games.
they
man.
still
Like,
got
I'm
that
in.
encumbrance system. Wasn't happy
Heck yeah,
about
baby.
that.
Yeah, everyone loves encumbrance.
Listen, let me just give you a quick pointer. Like all space-based economies, don't pick stuff up. You make
garbage.
so much in credits without picking garbage up off the ground.
I
It becomes
have discovered
irrelevant.
that. Yeah.
Irrelevant.
I
I've
haven't
stopped
gotten
picking
to a
things up.
vendor yet or anything.
Is it blue? Who cares?
How have you
Is
not
it
gotten to
purple?
a vendor? You've only shot pirates. I don't know what you're doing. Literally, like the prologue, like basically forces you to go to New Atlantis, like almost immediately.
Yeah, I haven't gone there yet.
Oh, okay, that's
I've
your
been
And
exploring the
like you
place.
step off the ship, and then there's a man standing directly in front of you, and the first thing he tells you is, "There's a kiosk right there if you need to sell some stuff."
Yeah.
Which I'm over encumbered, as is my the robot person that follows you around. I put that person is full. They will not take any more stuff from me
Oh my
because I have
gosh,
just
dude.
stacked them up
You're
with.
crazy.
Look, I don't know what is or is not valuable in this game, but like Fallout has just made me such a hoarder of Bethesda games that I was like, look, if I need that fucking tin can to scrap it to be able to make a really good gun later, I'm picking up the fucking tin can. So I am
No.
taking everything with
There's
me on my way out.
literally no need. I have gotten to the point where I pick up nothing unless it's gold. It better be a gold freaking item. It better be an epic item. That's all I want. I won't pick anything else
I
up.
found a gold item on like the first guy I killed when I started. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I have just like a list of bullet points.
Yes, please. I mean, I have like a bunch of things on the top of my mind, but I want people who've not played as much of the game to tell me their experience so that I can be like, this is
You're
what
wrong.
I've gotten.
I
out
have,
of it.
like-
No.
I have like some nitpicky things that aren't a big deal. I have some problems and I have good things. So my good things, like you said, I think the combat is much improved from previous games.
Mm-hmm.
The guns all like look and sound and feel really punchy and nice. I like that a lot. The general aesthetic, great. The
Yep.
NASA punk thing's awesome.
Yep,
Like
very
all
fun.
the environments are awesome. Performance, I shouldn't have to mention it, but in this day and age, performance good.
Yep,
Like
very
like,
good.
Way to put out a game and not have it run like crap on my computer. Like the worst it does is in like the major cities like New Atlantis, it'll hover around 60. But like most other places, I'm like above 100. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Nice.
great.
Well, I mean, when you're running off of a 20-year-old engine, it's not that hard to.
True that.
How are they still using the same engine? I don't understand.
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah,
They're
how
like,
are
it's
they-
not the
how
same,
are the
guys. It's
faces?
improved.
How are the faces?
The faces are weird.
The worst part is the
Starfield.
teeth. It's the teeth.
Are you
for
sure
me.
it's not the eyes?
So they don't
No, the
do-
eyes are. I'm okay with
soulless
the eyes.
eyes.
The teeth are like 4 inches back from the lips for some reason. I'm always like, what is going on? Stop
They
that.
didn't do any performance capture for any of like the spoken dialogue. So like it's all procedurally generated face movements and it looks unnatural and
Yeah.
weird. Like it's
It
still
does.
got it's very Bethesda RPG Skyrim. You talk to a person, it
100%.
puts them dead center in your camera, you're staring into their soulless eyes. They tell you what they need to tell you and then you move on. Like
So, just to jump in on that, because both of you have played a little bit more, so you've probably had more cutscene stuff. But I did notice the one cutscene conversation, not cutscene, sorry, that I had at the start when you like see the first guy and he's talking to you and your like boss or whatever.
Yep. Lynn.
Is that instead of doing the Bethesda thing of like he comes in front of you and you start talking to him and it like zooms for like the camera zooms to him being in the center of your screen and then he's like centered and framed well, it like movie cuts to
Yeah, it's
him
hard.
talking and
It
then
does
hard
hard cuts,
cuts and it hard cuts to your boss saying something, and then it hard cuts back to him.
What's fun
and
about those conversations
don't know if I like that.
is that they clearly load a higher level of detail model in when you go to talk to people, and it can't do it fast enough when it's switching between two people.
No.
So when you switch between two different people in a conversation, they have all their like extra features like pop in like almost immediately after you see them, and it's
funny.
kind of distracting.
I think the
Hilarious.
problem is we have too powerful of PCs, Alex. We need it to take longer to cut between, or maybe we don't have powerful enough PCs. I think that's
maybe that's it.
It seems like an interesting choice to me that, like, I don't know if that's going to make it better or worse, but I did see that and I didn't know how I felt about it, and I thought it was kind of weird because I'm used to the camera like zooming into the one person, and then if there's someone else there, it'll pan to them and wherever they are in the room, and then it pans back because I'm in first person mode. So like it's as if I'm in that conversation in that room watching them, whereas like the cuts, it is a way to tell stories that we have used for hundreds of years inside of movies, but inside of a video game, it does seem weird to me. I was like, this seems off.
You get pretty used to it. I mean, pretty quickly, because like that's all your conversations, and like any Bethesda game, you're talking all the freaking time.
You're talking a lot. It's basically a visual novel when you shoot guys occasionally.
Yeah.
Other things I liked, I think it has excellent environmental storytelling. Just like the environments are very meticulously detailed and have like just little things that you can discover, just like a little bit about what happened there before you were there, which I think is nice. It's got great voice acting, a lot of different like dialects and like backgrounds and stuff like that I've already seen from people, and they're all like really great, I think. And then for like the loading screens, a lot of people complain that there's a lot of loading screens, but I wanted to say a good thing about them is that they're like wicked fast. Like I don't know how they load so fast, but it's basically like fade to black, fade back up.
Yeah.
Like most of the loading screens are like that. So that's pretty good. Systems, I think the oxygen system is pretty cool. I think it's much more interesting than just a stamina meter.
Yep.
Basically it's kind of like a stamina meter. Like if you're sprinting or exerting yourself in any way, you use up oxygen. And then if you go past a certain point, you start building up CO2 instead. And if you do that too much, it can start hurting you.
Which
so
is
there's like this risk reward situation.
In a city, it functions in the same way, even if you're not wearing a spacesuit, like say suit or helmet.
It is a little weird that like you can be in normal atmosphere and it still works like that.
Still building up CO2 in your local environment.
Yeah. And I think the trait system's really cool. That's basically like how you'd level your different abilities.
Like perks.
Yeah, so it's a perk system, but like you have challenges you have to complete to progress them now, instead of just like quote unquote using them to level them up.
I like that.
I think that's cool. My little nitpicks about this game, when I first started playing, the very first thing I noticed is that the y-axis sensitivity and the x-axis sensitivity are not the same.
Oof.
And I was like, why is this happening?
Y is the wrong one. Yes. X is the good.
So X is double the y-axis sensitivity. So if you go in the settings and make y-axis sensitivity 100 and x-axis sensitivity 50, then it feels okay.
That's so weird.
Alternatively, you can do what I did and edit it in the INI, which is what a lot of people do, because then you don't have to worry about it being weird for other things. But like, that is just strange. Also, there's no FOV slider.
Yep.
It's a AAA game in the year 2023. What is up with that? So basically, you're locked into like a 60-ish, 70-ish FOV unless you go edit that in the INI. That's fine for like if you're on a couch in front of a TV. If you're on a monitor and at a desk, that is not so great. For some reason, there's no HDR in the PC version. It's in the console versions, not on the PC version. Try to play it on my TV with HDR, just doesn't do it. I'm like, that's strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's also an FSR only game, so there are like 3 different versions of mods out now that you can replace FSR with DLSS.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like you can fix it yourself with a mod, but like, you know, why?
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
And like you replace FSR with the DLSS mod, and immediately the whole game looks sharper. Like I don't. FSR is not as good. I don't understand why they. And there's been this whole thing about like AMD like forcing NVIDIA features to not be in games that people are upset with now, because like NVIDIA sponsored games can still have FSR in it, no problem. I think it's just because NVIDIA is confident that in their technology.
Right.
But I don't know, that's weird. And then the last little nitpick is like, it's seemingly at the end of development, they decided to put like some color correction filtering over the entire game. And it's super weird. There's like a lot of the places that have like a distinct green tint. And
I thought I had a setting wrong. I was like going in, like I was looking for like gamma correction or like a color slider or something. Because like the very first cave you go in, you're like, all right, it should be pitch black, but there's like a weird
blacks are like grayish, greenish. Yeah. It's very strange.
I think it's just the tonality they were looking for across the game, but it's weird that it's almost like pasted over the top instead of ingrained in textures.
It's because you're looking through the glass of your visor from your astronaut helmet.
True.
I mean,
so apparently they use LUTs to do that. Which LUTs are like a color grading technician thing. Lookup tables, I think is what it means. But it is for like color grading and lighting stuff. So there are several mods that just replace the LUTs in the game so that it's not so harsh with the weird tinting.
It's okay, Bethesda. We'll color your game for you. You tried. You fucked it up immediately. We'll get it.
The first major issue I had with this game was I spent like 2 hours in the character creator, and I got my character out to like the main area. I was so happy with my dude. He looks so cool. Get him out to gameplay. Look at him. He looks doofy. He doesn't look the same as he is in the character creator. I don't understand.
Have you played a Bethesda game before?
I don't get it. I don't know why he doesn't look the same.
They all look like that. They all look doofy.
So you can
theater
there's
of
like
the mind, man.
There's like these enhance shops that you can go and just completely redo your look because it's the future and you can just rewrite your DNA or whatever. Which appreciate that, but I had to redo it like 2 or 3 times until I got a character that looked okay in gameplay.
So you played for 6 hours, but only 2 of those were outside the character creation.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
Well, the 6 hours was like outside of character creation.
Oh, you already did that math for us. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Now, Alex, just so I'm understanding your likes and dislikes here, if you're looking for a Bethesda game that's got good weapons and
wonder where
don't
this is
beat
going.
me to the punch,
We all know where it's going.
You know that has great environmental storytelling. It runs well. You're always gonna get over 60 frames everywhere you are. It loads pretty fast. I think the game that you should play is Fallout 76.
You crazy, man. I'm not even gonna. Okay, let's just continue.
Just glazed right over that.
My second major issue I had once I was starting to get into the game was the walking speed is way too slow. Your normal movement is like a jog. It's like pretty quick. Your sprint super fast. There's a toggle that you can hit on PC when you're not using a controller to make your character walk. It's slower than NPCs walking. So when you're following an NPC, you're either jogging past them or walking slower than them.
They never let you go at the same speed as them.
I don't
ever.
understand.
Why?
It's so dumb. And then I also just I like to RP walk when I'm getting like a feel for a game and just like walk around like and look at the city or whatever. And it's so slow. I can't even like enjoy it. I don't understand.
You gotta jog around and look.
Yeah, I guess so.
You gotta play as a Yager.
Also, to go with like looking at my character and being in third person, you cannot swap which shoulder you're looking over in combat if you're in third person. What is that?
If you never want to have to jog with NPCs,
Play the game with no NPCs.
There's no NPCs. See,
To be fair, the first person combat is probably the way to go anyway, so that's not really like a huge thing. And then like my more like major issues with the game, like the conversations are very funnely. And what I mean by that is like they always funnel you to the one response you need to say. in order to progress. Like,
I've heard they basically don't matter what you pick. It all kind of ends up doing the same thing.
It's probably because we've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate that I noticed it, but like if you pick an option in Baldur's Gate, it progresses the conversation based on the tone of what option you picked. In this game, it's like I'll talk to a person, they're like, hey, I need this thing done. And then I'm like, I can be like, sure, I'd love to help you. Or I can be like, I don't know, only if there's something in it for me. And you say, okay, only if there's something in it for me, because I'm playing like a scoundrel, like space.
Did you pick a space scoundrel?
Space scoundrel, yeah.
Dadgummit, that's what I
Did you
picked.
pick Space Scoundrel?
Yes, I did.
I've got bad news for you when you get out of Act 1 for Baldur's Gate, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Because you definitely see it in the later acts of the same exact thing. It was just like there's 3 or 4 options. It doesn't matter which one you pick. It will give you the same exact response, and I know that because we saved scum through a bunch of things to get the best answers to stuff, and like that was just like it didn't matter which one we picked. It was just going to be the answer of like this is what they say.
Even if it progressed the conversation, I think I would feel better about it because I wouldn't know that it's like the same thing that they're going to say no matter what. But like you say, all right, only if there's an in it for me, you know? You say that, and then it just takes you back to the same prompt, and then you have to choose the one at the top that says, I'd love to help you, which is like not...
It's not
how
always,
I want to say that.
It's not always just one for what it's worth. I understand exactly what you're saying, but like, let's say you're given 4 prompts. The bottom 2 are like information gathering, and the top 2 are the only ones that progress the conversation. So it's still very much funnily, but it's always at the top. It's like yes or no, right? You can ask other things from prompt 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But unless you have a trait in something, which would give you an option to do something different, like that's one of the reasons you would pick up a trait like security, for instance, that would allow a different component of a conversation. But if you don't have that, you're only presented with the yes, no options for whatever that funneled conversation is. So you have to pick one of those at the end of the day. It is weird.
To go along with like that decision-making thing, like not really doing a lot, like there's one... I haven't done like a ton of quests yet, but I did this side quest where it got to the end and it was like, all right, do you want to give the information to this person or this person? And one of them's like kind of seedy underbelly. Like you might, I don't know, in my mind, you might get like more money from it because it's more important to them. And like, maybe you'll get like, you know, something later down the line. And then the other one's like the good guy route, like give it to the good guys because they're going to do the good thing with it. And then I gave it to the seedy people, and then like they're just like, okay, cool, thanks. And then I got 2,000 credits, and like there was just a one-off voice line from the other person that was like, I'm disappointed in you. And that was like the only reaction to that decision. And I was like, that's a little weird. So then I looked up what happens based on who you give it to. It's the exact same thing. You get the exact same amount of credits, you get the exact same amount of experience, and there are no like repercussions for either
other
decision.
person is disappointed in you.
Mm-hmm.
Besides like the one-off voice line that you hear right then. And then if you wait until they leave the room and you go talk to them again, they're just like normal again, like an NPC that just like says like whatever if you talk to them.
It's very weird.
Other things with the world not reacting to, there was another quest I did where like guy wanted me to delete his bad reviews off of a computer so that he could get a promotion, but he was working against this other dude. And when I finally got to the computer to delete his stuff, I noticed the other dude also had some negative stuff about him on there, so I deleted his as well. And then when I went back and talked to both of them, it didn't give me an option to say anything about that. There was no reaction from the other guy that I had helped him out. Nothing ever came of me deleting the other guy's files. Like, I don't even know why it was an option for me to do at that point. Like,
right, why even have it in there?
I feel like the small quests, the small components of this game don't really feel like they carry any weight. There are some more overarching things that I feel like do change, like both your approach and your interaction with some of the like factions in the game, but it is minimal. I will say it is very minimal. A lot of those things feel kind of pointless. Like some of the smaller conversations feel pointless. I don't feel like they're progressing anything.
So after I noticed those things, I started getting curious just about interactivity with the world. So I started like experimenting with things. You can go around and like point guns in people's faces. They just don't react. Like they don't care. Security personnel, whatever, doesn't matter. They don't care. I went into like the security office in New Atlantis where there's like a quest giver there, and I quick saved and just like murdered everybody, right? One, they still have the thing where like if it's a quote unquote important NPC, they just get downed and then they just like stand back up again. Stupid. That's dumb. I understand, like, I don't know, their game is big and complicated. It's hard to deal with that, but Baldur's Gate does it. I don't know. And then so I did this thing where I killed everybody in that station in cold blood with my face fully revealed. Everybody's angry at me all over the station. I hide for a while, fast travel back to my ship. I wait 48 hours. I get out of my ship, walk back into the city. Nobody cares anymore. I walk into where that guy is. That's a quest giver where I just murdered all of his friends. There's still bodies on the ground. He's just like, hey, what's up? Did you need something? I'm like, why doesn't it care? I don't know. It's weird.
It's like there's like no morality system at all, or no.
Well, even just like the guy didn't remember that I just murdered all of his friends right next to him and shot him until he got on his knees.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just strange to me. I mean, and that's like the little things that I'm like, they didn't innovate on this game at all. It is still that old Bethesda RPG. Like, if you're just looking to run like in Skyrim and relive that but in space, then this is the game for you.
Yep.
But I really wish they would have progressed in some aspects in some way. I mean, it's been like 8 years since their last game.
So I will say, just as like playing devil's advocate against the commentary of them not progressing, I think there are things they spent a lot of time on in this game that are very strange for them to spend a lot of time on. For instance, shipbuilding. Let me tell you, buddy.
Yeah.
You want to build a starship? You can go to the nth degree.
They've been doing that for a while. I mean, Fallout 4, they were like, look at this whole system for building a whole city, man.
Yeah,
like,
they have that in this too. They have the same system for outposts, is what they call it in this game. I mean, you can do the whole, like, it's like complete city building. But your starship is also in the same realm as that, and so the builder is pretty complex and hefty, and I think it's kind of a unique aspect. One of the things neither one of us talked about, or I guess nobody talked about, is starship combat and just being in space in general. A lot of the game obviously is played on a planet somewhere, but also a lot of the game is played traveling between planets and traveling in space. I think the quickness by which you can select a different place to go and be there without having to go through the entire process of getting in your starship, lifting off the planet, leaving the local system, going into using the grav drive and going to a different solar system, landing on that planet, and then exiting your starship. You do not have to do that. You can just go find another planet, click on it, click the land button, and you just instantly, it's like loaded up on the new planet. You're there. Yeah. So you don't have to do any of the stuff in between, which is it's a good choice.
I appreciate that. That's like the major complaint I've seen from people that don't like it. Like, and I think it's a dumb complaint to have. I complain about the things I'm talking about, guys. Like, don't complain about like not being able to fly your ship from a spaceport to a different spaceport.
Fly your ship from a space. Okay, you can still get in your ship, hit the space bar to take off. Then you're in local space. Then you can zoom out and click on the planet you want to go to and click.
Yeah, but they're still saying it's like a series of loading screens. They want to be able to like fly into the sky.
Sure, this is not. Go play No Man's Sky. Okay.
The problem is just because other games have done it.
Yeah,
I know.
And they kind of in their advertisement, they kind of leaned on the No Man's Sky comparison. I feel
it is not even remotely close to that.
It's similar. Yeah.
The things that I think you didn't highlight on that I really liked in this game is the choice of approachability. I think you chose the same route I did. When I very first launched this game, I took 5 minutes in the character creator, unlike you. I basically clicked the auto generate until I saw one I liked, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And so I'm playing that girl. And for me, I chose Space Scoundrel because I thought, this is going to be Firefly. I'm going to play this game like I'm one of the characters in Firefly. And so that's the way I approach every conversation, every interaction, every like mission that I take on. I'm just in a space western, essentially.
Man. Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's what I do with everything.
Space Scoundrel. What traits? What backgrounds did you take?
You mean what perks?
No, because it gives you like Like I took Neon Street Rat as one option, and then
I don't even remember.
I took kid stuff because that means your parents are alive,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go talk to your parents. I thought that was cool.
That's fun.
And then I took Wanted because that means bounty hunters will come and hunt you down sometimes.
Huh. I don't even remember what I picked for those.
I did pick Wanted, and I don't know if you've bumped into any of the bounty hunters yet, but when I was fighting pirates, I literally like went through an area. There wasn't any there is no one for miles, and I did a 180 and they're just right behind me, and I'm like, where the fuck did you guys come from? Just shot them dead, but it was just very funny to me that it's not like they like landed or that they came out of a building somewhere nearby or something for me. Like there was literally just nobody near me for anywhere I could see as I was scanning all of these resources and collecting stuff, and then all of a sudden they just like up here. And I was like, oh, hey, look. The bounty hunters.
So
CD Projekt Red made that system.
So the space scoundrel aspect, I think it's changed the way that, or like it's I've kind of pocketed me in the way I'm approaching the game, because I will just specifically not do types of missions that fall under the category of like, I'm not going to go on geology surveys and survey a planet for coins. I'm not going to go on like I don't do that. My whole thing is like, oh, there's an outpost on this planet where there's potential like spoils that I can move. Oh, there's like a transport ship or a transport mission where I need to haul this thing to this seedy place and go find a guy and shoot him. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do all those. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Things in this, like as a part of that, I think are important is, I guess this won't really be revealing anything because it's not really storyline related, but things you can do in the game as a part of that though, when other people like enemies land ships, you can just go onto the ship, kill everybody, and then take the ship over for yourself. And it is now your new starship that is a part of your own fleet.
I heard that, and so I tried to do that on the very first pirate ship that drops in the prologue, and it just says the hatch is inaccessible. I'm really disappointed about it.
There is one type of ship that is an inaccessible hatch, and I think it's associated with the there's a faction you'll meet later on, but you just can't you can't access their ships. Yeah, but there's I have a Varun ship that I'm flying around right now, the Zealots or whatever.
That's really cool.
I think that's neat.
Yeah.
And then you can take that ship and you go fly to another place and kill a bunch of pirates or spacers, they call them. And then they'll bring in reinforcements. You go steal another ship. You can just kind of repeat this process and then
fight people in space and then board their ship and take it over.
It's very cool. I think all that's fun. Space combat is pretty light, not necessarily complicated, but
I really
just
like
depends on how you
the
built
power system.
Yeah, the power system's cool.
It adds enough complexity that I'm happy with the combat.
You mean that thing that they did in the Star Wars Rogue Squadron?
Yeah.
just want to point out that it's been done somewhere else before and just as good, if not better.
I mean, it wasn't done there first. It's an iterative thing. Like any good space combat game has that system. Like that's like being able to put more power into shields is like a key space combat thing.
The last component, I think, and you already highlighted on this a little bit, but is environmental storytelling. You probably haven't played enough to reach some of the places I'm at, but the one thing I will say about this game is the people, to me, it feels like the places they spent money were on space and shipbuilding and ship mechanics and things like that, and then just purely building environments to make them all feel unique. There are so many worlds that I've been to that when I land, it is like I have never seen any of these components on any other world. It's completely unique. It feels fresh and original and weird and fun, and I feel like I'm just going into a new environment. Sometimes it even feels like it's pulled out of time. Like it doesn't feel like I'm going from one place to another place and they have equal levels of technology and equal uses with those technologies. You can go to one place, it's like feels like a Western. You can go to another place, it's like feels like a cyberpunk city. You go to another place, it feels like steampunky, like like almost Fallout-esque. And all of them have these very different vibes and feels. Not only that, but like the side missions you can do while you're there feel very relevant to that environmental storytelling. It feels very relevant to that space you're in. It's not just like, hey, I have a thing that's you got to go follow this guy and grab a package that he has and bring it back. No, it's always like related to whatever the space you're in, or whatever the planet you're on is, or the location you're in. So that part I really appreciate.
They hired I think it was a Skyrim modder that did clutter mods for Skyrim to do like environmental clutter stuff.
It's excellent, man. There's crap everywhere.
So that's a really good idea. They should have done that with more aspects of the game, like the UI. Like hire the Sky UI people. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's already UI mods out there for like the inventory, because the inventory is kind of hard to deal with.
The only other comment is on the negative side, which is that there's been a lot of people who are like, the game is just a loop for the main storyline. You do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and I can confirm that's, at least so far. I mean, I've gotten to a point where that's changed, but for the first, like, I don't know, 15 missions, it is identical. You do the same exact thing for 15 missions. So you get to a point where you're like, well, I've done enough this one thing that something's changed, and now all of a sudden, like, my goals have slightly adjusted.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, I've heard a lot of people say it's the best mainline story in a Bethesda game.
Not a high bar.
That's that's kind of nothing. What does that even mean? What's
like
the second best?
Most of the time, the side quests are better. Yeah, I get that.
Right? Is it Skyrim? Because I think it's Skyrim.
It is
Maybe Fallout 4? I never finished it.
I've also seen some controversy around people arguing, should you rush the main story or not? Because apparently there are things, I don't know what they are, but there are things you unlock in the main story that are like gameplay relevant.
Yeah.
And
very much so.
Like, people are like, if you're just like wandering around doing side quests, you're gonna miss a lot. Like, some people were saying it's equivalent to playing Skyrim without the shouts. So
that is a very good analysis. I will agree.
Jokes on those people, though. I shout all the time when I'm playing Skyrim, just from start to finish.
So I'm wondering, like, because then I've seen another group of people are like, don't do that. Don't just rush the main story. That'd be bad. Just experience it as it comes to you.
I mean, the problem is it doesn't just come to you, right? Like you'll go talk to the main guy, and he's like, well, here's like 6 things you can go do. And until you finish those 6 things, you don't progress the main storyline. So it's not like little pieces are being fed to you as you're doing all this side mission stuff. It's, here you go. Here's the places. Go look. Good luck. Have fun. You do those and you get 6 more.
So it's no Far Cry where you're doing side quests and suddenly you just get sent to sleep and they drag you to the main quest. That's
classic
too bad.
That is.
There should be more games like that. That's good.
I have played long enough at this point that I have encountered a couple things that pull you away and directly into another quest, regardless of whether or not you really wanted to be there.
Mm.
It is tied into some of the mechanics of the game, which I think are important. And it's not just like a sleep dart and you fall asleep and you wake up like Far Cry system. But it's kind of similar concept. Anyway, all in all, what? Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to ask, this is mostly for Alice, because I know you really like this game. How does it stack up to Outer Worlds? Because that is the other Bethesda-esque space game. Came out several years ago. It was our game of the year it came out. So I'm just curious.
Man, I really love the Outer Worlds. I don't know that I can compare them right now. The Outer Worlds, I think, is so strong because it is so focused, and this game is the exact opposite. So
it is polar opposite. There are tons and tons of planets and worlds and systems and places and outposts and buildings and.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you every time we talk about it. I'm just warning you now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that you could. I don't know. It's such a different.
I don't know
style.
how you can say you can't compare them when, as you describe it, it sounds borderline the same. You get in a ship, you fly to different planets, you get quests on those planets, you have to go to other places to do those quests. Feels like a space western. A lot of talking to people.
I think it's a scope issue.
I don't know. Outer Worlds feels more like Mass Effect-y to me than it does like Bethesda-y.
Really? Because it's very Bethesda-y. That's an interesting thing to say.
I don't know. I also haven't played it in a long time. So
Okay. All right.
Fair.
maybe I should play the DLC and then think about it.
Should do that. I'll keep playing Starfield. We can compare notes. Okay. Let's move off Starfield and move into what you've been playing lately. And Owen, should I guess what it is you've been playing this week?
Is it the fact that I finally finished playing Baldur's Gate 3?
You finished
Finally,
it?
like it's
I
been a while.
finished my first playthrough.
And then like almost immediately started a second.
I am on the way through my second playthrough. I did finish through. It took 150 hours. Game file said 120 something, so you can infer that there was about 30 hours there of making sure that everybody looked pretty, making sure that all of the clothing and dyes happened, so that way we didn't have really bad looking characters in the back of cutscenes at the end there. Also, we scummed a bunch because
Yeah, I think
fuck
that's
it,
all
why not?
save scum time.
Yeah,
30 hours
fuck
to
it,
save
why
scum.
not? There are some things that were like, oh, this will end well, and we clicked it, and we're like, oh no. I was kind of surprised that, there's at some point you meet a god, and I talked shit to the god, and I was like, if you're a god, you do this thing. And they said, fuck you, and they killed the entire party. Like, the screen just went black, killed us all, and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We don't even get to fight the god. The god just decided that it was the end of our game.
Heck yeah.
So
and I was like,
that was the end of your first playthrough.
that was why we saved scum. But hell yeah, like it's fucking great. We've loved every second of it. It's been pretty solid. I think Act 3 has some of the more hilarious moments of the game. I will say that there were some very funny things that we bumped into and we had occur to us when we got towards Act 3 and actually got into Baldur's Gate proper. Also, there were several quests that were just cool. There was just like, hey, there's a bank in this city. You want to go rob the bank? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to do a heist mission. That sounds awesome right now. So, I think there's just like a lot of fun stuff with it. We were very happy with the character choices that we had, the romances that we did. I think the only thing that I was kind of bummed about is that there is a thing that is talked about through all of Act 2 and most of Act 3, and I was like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this. And you do not get to do it. The character that is like, that you talk to and is like, hey, you're gonna like join me at the end of your mission and help me do this thing, right? And I was like, yeah, totally. And they just leave. At the end of the game, they're just like,
oh,
all right, I gotta go do the thing now, bye. And like that is their ending cutscene, is them leaving, and I'm just like, cool, thanks for helping us kill the big bad and everything, but I was kind of hoping I would get to be part of the resolution to your story as well. Like, I was hoping there was a mission that'd be like, all right, you get to go do their stuff now. Like, you've finished your thing, you've saved Sword Coast, now go finish their stuff. And I was kind of bummed that wasn't even there. Maybe it'll end up being like some sort of weird definitive edition DLC thing. I don't know. But I kind of hope it does, because it does kind of seem a little weird how like we had at least had two endings that were like kind of anticlimactic, that they were just like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this thing, and you're just like, without me? But that seems fun. That seems like a fun thing to do. It's like, I want to continue doing that. Other people's stories like wrapped up very nicely by the end of it. It was just, I was like, okay, you know where they are, you know what they've done, you know what their choices that they've made. They're living their best lives without you, and like, I'm cool with that. But there were some that were just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go over here now and like struggle for the rest of my life. And I was like, but what if you didn't? And I want you to not struggle. Like,
yeah.
So it's solid.
I want your next playthrough to be in Iron Man mode. No save scumming.
We're planning that for playthrough 3.
Okay.
Yeah, playthrough 3 is going to be like on tactics, hardcore mode, one save, no save scum. Like, that is for the third optimal playthrough. The second one we're doing right now is the evil playthrough, because we did all of the good options, like most of the good options the first one, and so now we're like, all right, let's murk some people. We're gonna get Minertha inside of our party. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna side with goblins at the start. We're gonna do, just kind of use every single tadpole power up that we can possibly get our hands on. We're doing all the bad stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're kind of excited to see how that plays out.
Jake, how about you?
All right. So we talked about this a bit last podcast, but I played a game called On Guard. I think Alex mostly talked about it last.
You're not saying it right. You're not saying it right.
On Guard.
There you go. Thank you.
Better.
Yep.
It does have an exclamation point in the name for those of you in the audio medium. But it's like a fencing. That's not even fair. It's like a swashbuckler fighting kind of simulator.
Yeah.
You have a rapier, and like obviously you use it, but the main thing is that you are kicking chairs at people, you are swinging on chandeliers to surprise people, jumping over tables, throwing pots at their heads. I finished it. It's not very long, but it is really fun. If you're gonna check it out, I definitely recommend checking out the arena mode. That's the only place where I actually felt like the combat sort of got difficult enough to be like really enjoyable, to feel like it's something you can sink your teeth into. What's cool about the arena mode is they almost treat it like a roguelike. So like, the way it works is like, you have to get through like 6 encounters. And at the first encounter, you get 1 positive effect and 1 negative effect. So it'll be like, okay, you can't use your single target special move, but if you perfect parry someone, you heal a little bit of health. And then the next map, the same thing happens. You get another negative and another positive. You get to pick the positive. You don't get to pick the negative. You pick the positive from like a list of 4. It's pretty fun. The one thing that I found kind of frustrating is that, so it goes from like easy, medium, hard, legendary. Hard was easy enough that I beat it on my first try. Legendary is borderline impossible. I still have not beaten it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really,
Logarithmic
really
scale.
hard. I mean, it also helps that like the first time I did normal, I had like 3 power-ups that healed me. So like no matter what I did, I was just constantly at full health. Like I could basically just like tank people and get through it.
Get a good run on legendary.
Yeah.
Roguelike game now?
I mean, kinda, yeah. Like literally, it got to the point where like I would start a legendary run, and if I didn't get a trait that healed me, I would restart it and just try again to get one that worked. Because like, I'm not gonna waste like 30 minutes trying to fight, like scrape my way through this arena if I'm gonna die map 2 anyways. But it's really fun. I really recommend it. It's really short, but it's also pretty cheap. I think I bought it for like $16. It's really fun. It's got really fun writing. There's like a little story that you go through. There's like 4 30-minute-ish levels. But it's really quippy and fun. I think the character writing's really fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Nice.
Caleb?
Well, I blasted through Blasphemous 2, which came out a couple weeks ago.
You blasted through?
Blasphemous 2.
Like that? It's basically an upgrade to the first Blasphemous in almost every way. They fixed, I think, a lot of the problems that the first Blasphemous had. Jumping on spikes or jumping on a pit no longer outright kills you, so that's great. Just does like a 30 of your health. Much better.
Reasonable.
Do you like spawn in the pit, or does it spawn you back where you jumped from?
Where you jump from, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that game.
They fixed some of the issues I know Alex had when he was playing, where like you get an item and you know it's going to give you a new health flask, but you have no clue where you're going to use it. You just have to like stumble across it. Fixes that. There's like a NPC to talk to for everything that you need to upgrade. So it's pretty straightforward in that regard. You pretty quickly, if you're good at finding secrets, are able to get fast travel around so that you can jump around wherever you want to explore next. It's got 3 weapons in it. They're all really fun to use. There's a giant mace. I think it's a censer, technically. But it's like a giant mace on a chain. Busted good. So good. There's a scimitar that does like blood attacks. And there's a dagger and short sword that can do like lightning attacks if you charge it up.
I love blood damage. Definitely my favorite kind of damage.
It's a good weapon. It also, you can get upgrades for it that like heal you and stuff as you play, which makes the game a lot easier. Speaking of, the game's just a lot easier than the first Blasphemous.
Good.
Yeah. Blasphemous is a very hard game, so
It's
it being
so
a lot easier than the
hard.
first one, I think, is not really an issue. The boss fights are still a ton of fun, and some of them were quite punishing, I think.
I've played a bit more the first game. I had to download a mod that made me feel really bad because it was called like game journalist mode. It just makes it easier.
That's
That's what they called
It's
it.
such a hard game, and I was like not making progress just at all. So
You know what's interesting? I'm on Nexus Mods now, and I found one. It's just called Get Good. I don't know. Maybe you should check that one out. I think
Is there
that would be a
Get
good fit.
mod
does
for
it just
Blasphemous 2?
make
Just
me
makes it
get
harder.
good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
Nice.
I would take it.
Mm-hmm.
It does something really cool at the beginning. When you first start the game, you pick one of the 3 starting weapons, and that's the only one you get for a while.
Mm.
And each one has a ability that you can use, like a Metroidvania style ability, and like unlocks areas. So if you start with a different weapon from somebody else, you're going to be able to explore different areas from the start. So the first boss you fight will be different from the one they fight, and that'll open up a new area where you can go fight maybe the one that they fought because you got their weapon now. But
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that maybe adds a little bit to replayability too. 'Cause you can kind of move through it, the map
Different order.
differently. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. In the first game, they released a DLC for New Game Plus a few months after the game came out, so I'm excited for that for Blasphemous 2 because I'd like to play it again. But
How long
pretty
did it
good.
take you to beat?
Steam says 15 hours.
Okay, it's pretty
Good
good.
amount.
Pretty good. Yeah.
It's no
So it'll
Hollow
take-
Knight, but
No,
It'll take me like 30.
like I
I'll
said,
play it.
a lot easier than the first Blasphemous. So
That's
who
just
knows?
in general, but any game that you play versus my
Not
time with
twice as long. Come
there's
on.
not a character creator.
True, there's not. Yeah. Still playing as the penitent one. Oh, speaking of, the storyline is impenetrable like the first one.
it. Yeah,
Whatever.
Nice.
It's all about
it's about the
atmosphere and
game.
theme more than it is
Playing
about the story. Yeah. But really good. I liked it a lot. I've also been playing Sea of Stars, which is the new game by Sabotage Studio. They did The Messenger a few years ago.
several
and-
years ago.
Yeah.
Excited to hear what you think of this.
Yeah. So it's a JRPG. I'm not normally super into JRPGs.
Are you sure though?
Yes, I am sure.
You've played a few recently that you've been
I've
all
liked-
about.
2, I think, total in my life.
That's all it takes, baby. That's how it starts. You're like, this is a good one. They're all bad, but this one's good. Next thing you know,
Now I found
you're
a
playing
second
through
good
the whole
one.
Persona series.
Yeah.
That's just
yeah.
how it goes.
Well, I knew I wanted to play it because The Messenger was great. Figured I'd help those people out. Sea of Stars, man, the art, absolutely gorgeous. It is fun just walking around looking at all the beautiful art. Combat is pretty fun. They've added some mechanics. Multiple JRPGs do this now, but there's like when your people attack, when they hit, if you hit a button, you can do extra damage.
It's like
When
the
you
Mario
take damage, you
RPG
do a button.
system.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. It's a common thing now. But they have some cool ones where like you have a boomerang, and every time it comes back to you, you can hit the button at the right time to send it out again, so you can like double up on damage, and it keeps like speeding up. So there's some fun little abilities you can play around with in combat. Characters seem pretty interesting. The main two are kind of boring, but your tag along guy has some interesting stuff going on, and then there's a portal assassin that they showed off in the trailer. You get eventually. She's got some mysterious stuff going on, but she's a blast to play as.
Is it just Chell from Portal?
No,
No, shame.
no. If only.
It's too bad.
The world seems pretty interesting and pretty big so far. I'm only 10 hours in roughly. I think there's quite a bit more to go, but pretty enjoyable. Story's pretty interesting. I will say I don't think it's as good as the other JRPG I really like, which is Chain of Chained Echoes. There we go.
You
I
don't
almost
even
said Chain of
remember the
Memories.
name.
Well, I almost said Chain of
Don't
Memories.
say Chain of Memories to me again. How dare you?
Chained Echoes.
Ugh.
So yeah, it's not drawing me in quite as much as that one, but I'm having fun with it.
I'll go next.
How's the puzzles? That's what I
Sorry,
want
go
to know.
ahead. All right, you're good.
Oh,
You're good.
there's
puzzles.
There's a lot of secrets that are fun to find. There's
Sorry.
not a ton of like cool puzzles, really. They're all
Sure.
pretty straightforward.
I feel like JRPGs aren't usually known for their puzzles.
Yeah.
Based on the demo, I felt like it was going to be a big part of the game. Because like the demo is basically, it runs you through a dungeon that's like pretty heavy on like do a fight, solve a puzzle, do a fight, solve a puzzle.
The puzzles are all super straightforward though. There's never really a time where you're like, ooh, I need to figure this out. It's kind of just, oh yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was in the demo, but I was assuming it was just because it was early.
Maybe they'll get harder as we go. I'm not sure yet.
I mean,
We'll
it
see, I
sounds
suppose.
like it's a perfect fit for you, Alex.
Oh gosh.
Oh, shoot.
I will say,
Get
if you
outta
compare
here.
it to something like Crosscode, I think the puzzles are not as good as that kind of.
What a fantastic game. Thank you for
I
bringing
knew
it up.
the
Crosscode,
moment
I
you
knew
brought
you
it
were
up,
gonna be
you were going to be like,
excited,
oh my gosh,
Christ.
this was going to be on
What
my
a
2021
great game.
Game
Because
of
the
the Year
dungeons-
So
list.
disappointed
The
that I didn't
dungeons
put
in
it on my list.
Crosscode had like really good puzzles in them. They were a lot of fun.
Yes.
These are not to that level, I think.
And then they did a whole big dungeon in the DLC. Oh, it's so
You
good.
had to bring up Crosscode. You had to bring it up.
I'm so sorry, guys.
All right, Alex, can I go now?
Yeah, you can go. It's allowed.
Well, obviously, I've mostly been playing Starfield, but the other thing I've been playing is a small game called Thronefall.
And you say
It
I
is-
find all the weird games.
Yeah, this is a. I have been really trying to branch out more. Play
This
other
is that
things.
new MMO that plays itself and like
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
super
totally
hype about.
This is a minimalist, minimalist styled,
Distillery, huh?
distilled tower defense strategy game. You play as this small king. When I say small king, you play as a small king on a horse, and you're basically just riding around until you find short kings. You're right.
Short King Summer.
You basically you start with a castle, and your whole goal is to protect your main castle, and you build buildings around it. Half those buildings are revenue generating, like houses and farms, in order to, like, you're basically taxing people and gaining coin, and then you use that coin to build other things. The other half of those buildings are defense buildings. So you have barracks to build soldiers of different types, and then you have walls and towers to defend against various waves of enemies. The game is not tower defense in the traditional tower defense feel, where you're like number crunching and you're like trying to manage like the best pathway for enemies. It is a wave-based tower-based game where you're building some things during the day, and then at night you'll have a wave of enemies attack, and any buildings that are destroyed or units that are lost are replenished for the next day. So there's not a lot. It takes away a lot of the like complexity of managing long campaigns of tower defense, and just kind of distills it down into like, here's a just simple wave-based, do these things during the day, try to survive. If you can survive, all your buildings come back. You can use the new coins you've made, which if your building gets destroyed, you don't get any coins from it, but you can use the new coins you've made to build up more defenses and try and protect yourself as long as you can until the tower falls, the castle falls, which is when you lose.
It kind of looks and sounds like a top-down version of Kingdom's Two Crowns. Is that a good comparison?
I don't know what that game is, so sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
Sounds
You
like
probably
they are
own it.
billions to me.
A little
I
bit
haven't
sounds
played
like
that
that
either.
as well. Yeah.
But it's on my There Are Billions is on my wish list. Most of your so at night when waves attack, basically you run around as the king on a horse, and you have like a weapon choice that you start with at the very beginning of the game, and you're fighting off people while at the same time your towers are shooting, and you also have like a set of soldiers that you have this kind of like circle around you. You can go grab a bunch of soldiers and then pull them somewhere and deposit them, or make them stay next to you and fight with you alongside you with a wave of enemies. But outside of that, there's not a lot of control to the game other than just like building new spots within your castle and basically trying to manage like what the wave's going to be, so you're trying to manage like what things am I going to buy early on to generate revenue versus what things am I going to buy early on to defend, and you got to kind of balance that out as you play. Fun, casual, not complicated. I do not like tower defense games, but this is enjoyable. And also I get really sucked into the aesthetic of games, and I will just get a game because I really like the way it looks.
Is that why
I
you
like
bought
the way
it?
this game looks. Yeah, that's the real reason. Like the first thing that drew me in was the visual. And then I read about the game a little bit, watched some demos, and I was like, yeah, I'll play this. Early access. It's very fun. Only 4 levels right now, but the later levels can last for quite some time. So enjoyable. $7. Easy to play.
Cheap.
Yep. And it's fun. It looks cool. Runs well. Unique game. Alex.
Yes, I've been playing a game called Dead Link.
Why'd you have to say it that way?
Because I'm stalling, because I'm texting.
Wow.
Janae keeps on texting me.
She's texting me too. She's the worst.
Wow. Rude.
Dead
Not
Link
texting me. Gosh.
is really cool. I think Aaron will really like it. It is a roguelike first-person shooter.
Oh, shoot. And
It feels a lot like
Dead
these
Link.
guys played the modern Doom games, and they were like, how can we like transition this gameplay loop into roguelike? Because in the same way that you have like different abilities that you have to be using constantly in Doom in order to get different resources, like you have to do glory kills to get like health, you have to use fire to get armor, like that sort of thing. They have like those types of systems, but like it changes every round based on what you're getting for your roguelike. So there are there are enemies, and you'll have ways to mark them, and marking them will get you shields if you kill them. And then there's also like abilities you unlock from the roguelike unlocks that will be associated with different things you do in the game. So like there's a battery system, and then like if you reload, you'll trigger like X ability, or like if you break a sea ball, there's these floating little ball things called sea balls, then you'll trigger X ability. And it's like you slot these abilities based on how much power they're going to take up. So like stronger ones take more power, so they need to be used on abilities that you can do less often. So like classes have 2 abilities that they start with. So like dude I'm playing right now has an ability where he can teleport to where an enemy is and make the enemy teleport to where you are. So like it's a fast movement ability, and it swaps your places, and also it makes you face the enemy that you swapped with, which is very nice because then you can shoot them because they're like stunned. So there's that ability, and then there's like a go invisible ability. So he's like a stealthy dude. And like if you go invisible next to people, it marks them, and then if you kill them, you can get shields. And then if you break a sea ball, then you can get ammo for your secondary gun, which is a heavy weapon, versus your primary, which is usually like a pistol or like, you know, something weaker. And it just like stacking the different things they have to do, and you're like jumping around the level. It's all like arena based, kind of like Doom. It feels very much like that gameplay loop from Doom expanded to be different every run.
It's in my shopping cart.
I think they did a good job with it.
The aesthetic's great. I really like the aesthetic.
Yeah. Aesthetic is awesome. There's still a couple classes I haven't unlocked, so there's more to get to in that game for me. It gets pretty hard pretty quick.
Like Doom hard? Doom on like highest difficulty hard?
I mean, maybe.
Is it going to scratch that itch?
I don't know. I haven't completed a run yet, because deeper in the runs, it gets very difficult.
Oh, it's time, baby.
Yeah. And then the other thing I've been messing with isn't really a game. It's a game launcher. It's called Play Night.
This is why you brought up launchers the other day.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been messing with this thing. It's a launcher, I guess you could say. It integrates with all your other launchers and puts all your games in one list, which is what GOG Galaxy also did, I guess. But this is like really well supported by the community and has like a bunch of third-party plugins that you can get. All sorts of customization and like filtering and like like the stuff I get mad at Steam about with like their filtering.
I do an OR filter now.
Yeah, you can totally like import your whole Steam library and then filter it like you really want to in this. I have a plugin that I got that like added metadata to every single game and every library I had for like if they have co-op and then how many players the co-op is. So I can filter by like I need games that support like 6 players in co-op, and then it'll just tell me everything that I own that has that.
Oh, nice.
Very, very cool. And it also like tracks time for anything that you play. Like on Steam, if you have a non-Steam game, it doesn't track the time that you play. This will just do it for everything. Integrates with like Game Pass games and all that. So that's the real reason why I was looking at it, because I had some games that were like on Epic and some games that were like on Windows Store and stuff like that. So I was like, what? I don't want to manage all these different windows. Like, what if I just had this thing? And it's pretty cool. I also have a plugin for how long to beat times, so that's really cool.
Oh, you just
compare
me.
to compare your how long to beat.
It actually like puts a little line. It has like a track for how long to beat, which is like main story plus extra is completionist, and it's like this whole line for like how long it is, and it tells you like the hours, and then it puts like a line for where you're at for how much playing time you've had on that bar.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's so cool.
I do that so often when I'm playing a game, and I'm just like, how close to the end am I? Like, roughly. I love that. That's great.
It's just really, it's pretty neat. There's a bunch of like theming compatibility, and you can sort it by like what store it's from, or just everything, or like recently played, or it's got a lot of functionality.
Nice.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Chad, I know you haven't been here for this podcast, but
What you talking about? I've been here the entire time.
You want to know who's not here? Owen.
What? He's right there. I can see him.
Listen, remember at the beginning of the
can't hear me.
podcast when I said that I was dehydrated? Well, I drank a ton of water and then I had to pee a lot, so you know.
Oh, I was wondering why you kept
That
getting up.
happens.
Is it
Well,
when,
one of the times
when Kate's not here, she doesn't remind you to drink water, and so you don't drink any water. And
Oh,
you
she's
dehydrate
awful
yourself.
at drinking water. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's right. Because I just assume because she avoids water, it's a constant reminder. So you drink water.
right. Speaking of water, actually, none of the games. Never mind. So Hyenas is a game that I've been playing, which they need water to live. So you know,
There it is.
There we go.
There's
get
the
it.
connection. Good job. Good transition.
So Hyenas is like it's a first-person shooter. It's like Apex Legends mixed with like Payday mixed with like Escape from Tarkov. So if you want to combine all those together to figure out what the heck's going on, you drop in as a squad of 3 on a space station, and your characters.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Why did that come through so well?
I don't know.
Why didn't the noise
didn't think it
reduction
would.
stop that?
Interesting.
I thought it was
interesting.
just going to be a visual, and I was going to get a laugh. And then I looked down, and I was like, "Oh, it's actually going through. Perfect."
Each character has a different ability. So for instance, one of the ones that well, let me explain the gameplay before I go into the abilities. Gameplay is there are gear up rooms that you go to that are marked on your map, so you get some shields, heals, different perks or whatever that you can use. After that, you go towards a vault. Those are marked on the map as well, and you start fighting NPCs to kind of get your way, towards the vault to break into it. Once you break into it, you pick up the big boy loot, and your number goes up on the top left hand of your screen, and you can kind of see everybody's teams. There's like 6 different teams. You can see all of their numbers. They're all trying to get to 10K to where they can go to the extraction point. Everybody has their own individualized loadout per character, and the gimmick in this is there is low grav zones. So you have like a booster pack or booster boots or whatever you want to call them, and you can flip on the no grav zones and hit spacebar a lot to go faster in different directions. If you hold A, you're going to obviously go to the left. You hold D, you're obviously going to go to the right. W goes forward. Yeah, S goes back. So with that, the different characters have different abilities. So for instance, one of the characters that I really enjoy is a run and gun kind of chick where honestly you don't aim down sights with her at all. The faster you go, the higher the percentage of your damage. So if you're like sliding around or using her like actual core ability, which is you can turn yourself into low grav pretty much anywhere. You're like flying through the air doing 15% max. That's the max percentage it goes up to. More damage with your weapon. There's another guy that they added just recently that you throw down a turret. There's a sniper that I forget her actual ability.
She can snipe.
Yeah, she can snipe. There's a chick that literally, if I had to describe her, she looks like every single elite from Hunger Games. So lots of makeup, funky hair, dressed weird. She has a deflective bullets perk. So when she pops that, you shoot it. If you're shooting at her a lot, eventually when that shield drops from her, all the bullets will ricochet back to you. And then on top of that, you're able to pick up different various abilities around the map. So for instance, there is a teleport ability where you use it, and there are triangles marked on the map, and you can zip around. And there's a cooldown on it, obviously, and your teammates can use it with you. There's another one that's basically essentially just an impact grenade. Another one that's an EMP to where you can't use your abilities. But yeah, it's a really fast-paced shooter arena style. There's extraction to it, but it's like Tarkov light because you're not really losing anything that you've bought. You're only losing what you've picked up in the game, and you're 3v3v3v3 with a PvPvE type of game. So it's cool. Might be cool when it comes out. Hopefully, it's free to play, not a price tag on it. Because I feel like if there's a price tag on that game, nobody will play it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a lot of shooters, except for if you're titled like Battlefield or COD. Like you just can't come out with a shooter nowadays and actually have people have to pay for it because of all of the competition that's out there.
Yep.
Been playing a bit of Fortnite as well. New season came out. I can't relay any of the storyline to you guys because I really have not been keeping up. I stopped doing that a while ago. But yeah, there's some interesting new weapons that they added. There's a sticky grenade launcher, which is pretty much breaking the game. Essentially, if you're playing the build mode and you shoot a sticky grenade launcher at the build, a 1x1 just gets immediately destroyed. And with that, if you time it correctly, you could just do a full shotgun blast before people can react to put a wall back up.
Heck yeah.
So it's just free damage if you time it correctly. Also, they added a suitcase that you throw down where it just is a turret, which is kind of cool. There's different various vaults around the map because it's more like a heisty season. And another weapon that they added is some sort of like rocket ram, which is like you can pretty much bash through all
I've
builds.
seen that. That looks cool.
Yeah,
looks
no,
fun.
it's super fun. It's not. If you get hit by it when you're on the top of builds, like it's kind of annoying because you take full fall damage, which is like if you get hit by it, you heard it charging up, you could have stepped out of the way, so it's not even that
slow.
infuriating. And then it comes back down and it slams and does damage that way too. But it's a fun item. They did a really good job on that. They also added EMP grenades, which only affect shields, which is kind of cool. It's the first like weapon that they've designed that only affects one health pool, I think. Well, no, they did stink bombs at one point that only affected your green health, but anyways, EMP grenades, 70 shield damage right out the gate. You can hit yourself with them, so be careful. But all in all, I mean, it's just good fun. Fortnite's always been fun.
Man,
So-
isn't it refreshing that a game that's 5 years old still has like unique content that they're just pushing out all the time?
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Wild
Yeah.
concept.
Then of course been playing BG3, which that's shocking.
I'm still shocked. I'm
Man.
still shocked.
None of us put Dota on here.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
You play some
crazy.
Dota?
got to
It's
talk
been
about
ages.
Dota.
We played Dota.
Before
The
playing
heck?
Dota, BG3, I got to Act 2, and I think I actually flew through Act 2 a little too fast, so I'm trying to go back through the side content. But I'm pretty much at Act 3, I think. So it took me like 70 hours to get to Act 2, but now it's like like no time
This
gets
is in your
direct.
solo game? You've played 70 hours?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Uh-huh. I don't know. I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, I think it's like the combat doesn't really draw me. I think it's literally just the dialogue options and the story.
We
That's
introduced
just
you to this genre called visual novels.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Absolutely.
You're the next Jake the Great YouTube channel.
Oh man.
I mean, it's got to be the same story caliber as BG3, man. It's some good stuff. The side characters all have like super interesting like onions that they peel back. Some characters you don't even have because you make certain choices. And then it's some quests that you watch, your friends play on stream. You're just like, wait a second, I didn't get that quest. That's cool. Anyways, Dota 2. I guess come out with 10-year anniversary crap.
10th year anniversary of Dota.
So people have.
They were giving away free stuff, so we've played like 4 matches now. We've won 3 of them.
Yeah.
Dang.
Dude, we wiped the floor in the first 2 matches.
So good.
It's also interesting because I think all 3 of us kind of have the same mindset right now. If like we have zero clue what's going on when it comes to like some of the items that they've added, the map layout, heroes that have different changes, new heroes. So like going in, hitting that random button and just seeing whoever I get and then just playing it, and then realizing that who was it? Enigma. You don't have to sacrifice creeps anymore. You just
create eidolons.
You just create eidolons with your own health, and they're super squishy, so you can't really jungle with them.
So strange. Like remembering that there's those like sides of the lanes that are expanded, and like you should probably be using those. I'm like, what? What is this game? It was those stomp wins really gave me a taste though. I'm like, yes.
I literally went upstairs after we won the second game and I was like, Janae, we played Dota and we won, and now I got that taste of it. It's just like nope.
So good.
Nope. Bad.
What a good game.
Solid game. We did get stomped game 4 because they had a gyrocopter combo and he rampaged twice.
Our kills were like 40 to 47, so like
yeah,
I mean,
I guess that's true. We wouldn't get stomped, but
we just couldn't do anything against Gyro whenever
I
we
mean,
were in a fight.
I'm not gonna say this is the reason. It was the first game I didn't play carry, so
yeah, that was it.
Just saying. First game I didn't play carry, we got kind of wrecked.
You're right, Alex. You're right. I need to try that character clearly though. Primal Beast. You're right. He does look like me.
I played a couple of the new characters. Muerta, super cool. Primal Beast, super cool. Primal Beast, all about initiation and like team fight coordination.
Yes.
It's just like trample over all the terrain. Awesome.
What a good game. Man, I should put some more hours in it because I know our time spent in that game is pretty minimal.
Yeah. I was like kind of sad because the event was supposed to end today and then they just announced they extended it till the 10th.
Oh, we gotta get 10 wins.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some time to get some more chests.
That's exciting. I did want to mention one thing I thought was really funny is I went back and was just like looking at stuff on the store page. The very first thing under the reviews section is recommended by your friend. It's Chad. And it just says, I mean, if you want to sell your soul, you can download this, I guess.
What is it?
For Dota?
For Dota, yeah. Yeah. This was September 10th, 2021.
Yeah,
when you had 2,455 hours on record, now you have 2,437.
I agree. I agree with
you had
whoever
37,
wrote that review.
Yeah. Excellent game. All right, before we go, I did want to mention, Jake, it's important for you to know, Janae has graciously accepted being a groomsmaid at your wedding, and she can't wait to be there.
Aww.
Yep. She's very excited about that, and she misses you just
I'm sure.
so much.
Cries herself to sleep every night, I'm sure.
She does. She does. Yeah.
So
I
sweet.
did. Just honestly, if you just give her a shout out on any podcast, she would love it. I think it's like her favorite thing.
I'm sure. Yeah, you know what? Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Next time.
She's got to come back, be another watcher.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it for us. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about some more games. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. See ya.